Seeing everyone look at him, Dong Fangshi confidently said, "With my previous setup, we won't even need to worry about Emo running into the forest." Seeing everyone look at him, Dong Fangshi confidently said, "With my previous setup, we won't even need to worry about Emo running into the forest." Everyone fell into silence. After a long while, Song Qiming said, "But do you know where Emo is now?" Dong Fangshi smiled. Song family leader underestimates North Sand too much. As long as Emo doesn't intentionally hide himself, we can know where he is very soon. I believe Emo would definitely not intentionally hide himself now. Even if what you said comes true, Nie Shuang is just a normal student. Even if she's pretty, so what? You're asking a student that hasn't yet gone into society to trick Emo. Before she even talked, perhaps Emo would notice. This time, it was Song Qishan talking. Even Song Yuani nodded afterwards. Indeed, I know Nie Shuang, and she's rather shy. Although she's named the prettiest girl in the school, she isn't good at socializing. Plus, a girl's first time is rather serious for them. I believe it's too. Although Song Hai didn't finish, everyone could tell he doubted if Nie Shuang could accomplish the task. However, Dong Fangshi interrupted. It seems you don't really understand Nie Shuang. There are a lot of beautiful women, but the reason I chose her as first is because she and Yi Ling are both at Qing University. The other main reason is she isn't the girl from the rural she looks like. We did some investigations, and if we're correct, she belongs to the semi-hidden sections. She comes from 4 states and 9 moons temple. And this girl has an evil cultivation method. She loves sucking the yang essence of men. She has caused quite a lot of harm to men, but no one has found out yet. She's from the semi-hidden sects? She cultivates such an evil art? Even Song Yuani felt chilled. A girl who cultivated such an evil art was hiding in the high school. Song Hai obviously didn't expect this, but he immediately remembered Yemo's personality and said, "In that case, Nie Shuang is no longer a virgin and should be very familiar with sex. In that case, Yemo probably won't like her." Dong Fangshi sneered. Even if he doesn't like it, he would know after they've been on the bed together. If Nie Shuang could do that, then we've already succeeded. Plus, you probably don't know that Nie Shuang had met up with Yemo once. If Yemo sees her in danger, it's very likely he would help her. Song Qiming's jaw retracted. He thought a long while before saying, Yemo is not someone who can be tricked so easily. Since Nie Shuang had seen Yemo before, it means that Yemo probably knows who she really is. However, Dong Fangshi calmly said, "That's because you don't know the rules of the temple. If the female students were to let others know of their identity, they must kill that person. Even if they can't, they must report back. The people from the sect would kill the person as soon as possible. If the student's identity was revealed but they hide it from the sect, do you know what the consequence is? Boiling alive in oil is a light punishment. And Yemo had seen her before, but he is in no danger. This means that Yemo only knows Nie Shuang is a student at Hua University. He doesn't know where she comes from. Plus, if their identity were to be so easily discovered, they wouldn't have the right to be a semi-hidden sect. Even we paid a huge price to know her identity." The Song family people took a deep breath. Obviously, they didn't expect North Sand to have such a strong power. If Nie Shuang really didn't report back, then wouldn't this plan be a joke? Song Hai said worriedly. Dong Fangshi sneered. First, there are the consequences of not reporting. Even serious lovers wouldn't do that. In addition, the temple is a branch of a Tao sect. 9 Moons Temple is a branch of Heavenly Emotion Severance sect, and their full name is 9 Moons Emotion Severance Temple. The disciples from there wouldn't have any emotion for anyone. Plus, Nie Shuang is one of the outstanding students of the temple. How could she do that for Yemo, whom she had only seen once? But no matter how much Dong Fangshi calculated, he didn't calculate that Yemo had spirit sense. The moment he saw Nie Shuang, he noticed something wasn't right. Dong Fangshi didn't understand the heart of a woman, so he didn't calculate that Nie Shuang really didn't report back. Any mistake would be fatal, much less when Dong Fangxi made two. If he heard of a song called Don't Guess the Heart of a Girl, then perhaps he wouldn't make the second mistake. But no matter what, the first mistake was unavoidable. Song Qiming stood up and bowed. After hearing Mr. Dongfeng's words, I finally understand that people with immense fame do have true capabilities. Leave Nie Shuang to us, Song family. We won't let a mistake happen. However, Dong Fangxi shook his head. It's not easy to get her to work with us. Luckily, she loves Yang Essence. I heard you Song family has a high-level magic artifact, Jade Woman Plate. Perhaps this could motivate her. When Song Yuanyi heard the words Jade Woman Plate, he suddenly stood up and stared at Dong Fangxi closely. However, Dong Fangxi seemed perfectly at ease. Song Yuanyi sighed and sat back down slowly. He was thinking that this North Sand was too scary. When Su Jinwen got to the rendezvous place, Ning Qingxue was already there. Qingxue, you seem to have changed a lot. You came back from that dangerous place? Su Jinwen could tell with one glance that not only was Ning Qingxue more healthy looking, she no longer seemed depressed like last time. She could feel Ning Qingxue seemed more happy and energetic, and this made Su Jinwen very confused. Ning Qingxue's smile was as sweet as the blossoming of 100 flowers. Even Su Jinwen was attracted by this manner of Ning Qingxue. Although Su Jinwen had great confidence in her looks, she had to admit that sometimes Ning Qingxue was prettier than her. Where did you go? You seem so different from last time. You went somewhere dangerous, but it let you have this sort of change? This means I also need to go somewhere dangerous. Su Jinwen joked. Ning Qingxue helped Su Jinwen order a cup of coffee and nodded. Those few days were my happiest days. Although there was fear that I would die before those days of happiness, but when I thought about the happiness, I felt everything was worth it. I don't regret it. I called you out today to thank you. It could be said that you saved my life. Su Jinwen opened her eyes wide and looked at Ning Qingxue. When did she save her life? This is for you. I'm very grateful you gave me 3 beads last time. This bracelet is for you. Ning Qingxue took out that bracelet for Su Jinwen. It's so pretty. Su Jinwen could tell with one glance how precious the bracelet was. The 12 beads had a dim aura making people feel very comfortable. Where did you buy it? Although Su Jinwen knew that it wasn't as good as the beads she gave Ning Qingxue no matter how pretty this bracelet was, but she still very much liked this bracelet. Ning Qingxue shook her head. This wasn't bought. I asked Yemo to make it for you because I used up the 3 beads you gave me last time. What? Su Jinwen's hand shook and the bracelet almost fell to the ground. No wonder this bracelet had a familiar serene feeling. It was made by Yemo. It could be said that this bracelet was worth much more than the 3 beads she gave her. However, Su Jinwen had a mixed feeling. Although she knew it was worth more than the 3 beads she gave Ning Qingxue, she felt uncomfortable. When Ning Qingxue left, she told her to ask Yemo to make a bracelet for herself, but when she really got it, she felt it was missing something. Although the 3 beads she gave Ning Qingxue was coarse, Yemo made it for her birthday. But Su Jinwen thought this bracelet was also made for her by Yemo, so why didn't she have the same joy as before? Perhaps it was because Ning Qingxue asked Yemo to make it for her. Jinwen? Ning Qingxue saw Su Jinwen seem to be lost in thought and called. Oh! Su Jinwen came back to her sense and put the bracelet on the other hand, but she didn't take off the bracelet with 2 beads. Then, she smiled to Ning Qingxue and said, Thank you, Qingxue. Did you meet Yemo? When Ning Qingxue heard Su Jinwen talk about Yemo, her face was full of bliss. Yes, I went to find him this time. I was still with him yesterday, but he said he would come back for me soon. Su Jinwen hesitated for a moment before saying, If Yemo comes back, can you bring him to my house for a while? My mum wants to thank the person who saved her life, so... Ning Qingxue said without hesitation. Sure, I'll ask him when he comes back, but I'm sure he will agree. How do you know? I feel Yemo has his own judgment. Sometimes he wouldn't be affected by the outside world. Su Jinwen was speaking the fact. Before Ning Qingxue went to Shenongjia, she knew more about Emo than Ning Qingxue. And she knew that Ning Qingxue seemed to be together with Emo but really wasn't. Ning Qingxue's eyes turned to that of longing and said after a moment, "Because I know he wouldn't reject my words." After the fight with Bienpe, Emo knew that his power compared to top masters was a far cry. Although he almost died, he still benefited some. After the fight with Bienpe, Emo knew that his power compared to top masters was a far cry. Although he almost died, he still benefited some. Other than getting the face-preserving fruit and the 1,000-year snow lotus seeds, he had a better understanding of himself. His current power was at most the same as black-level peak stage ancient martial artists. Emo had opened the snow lotus and checked. There were 9 seeds, but the rest were gone. Perhaps they were eaten by birds or fell off themselves. However, Emo was already very satisfied with 9. He just needed a cauldron to concoct pills. After sending Ning Qingxue away, he bought a ticket to Guilin. After all, the things he was doing now was too dangerous. It would not be very convenient to take Ning Qingxue with him. Emo took the train due to a few reasons. One was because there was no direct flight from where he lived to Guilin, and another was he hadn't had a good sleep for a while now, so he wanted to sleep on the train. Compared to most other passengers, Emo's hands were empty. Other people all had big or small bags. So when Emo was getting his ticket check, people subconsciously stayed away from him, but Emo didn't care about that. Just when Emo was getting his ticket checked, a voice called out to him. "Is it Emo ahead? Wait up." Emo stopped, thinking Ning Qingxue had gone back to Ninghai. Who else here knew him? But soon, he saw who it was. It was a journalist, with a backpack and a camera hanging off her neck. Emo had seen her before. She was called Xiaolei. He met her when he went to Flowing Snake. She was very bold and dared to go anywhere dangerous. Emo didn't even need to think to know that she came here to interview about the Sky Ditch and Shenongjia. "It's you, what's the matter?" Emo turned around and asked. As a famous journalist, she had seen all sorts of people, but never has she been lost for words. She didn't know how to reply to Emo's question. Emo smiled and said, "If you don't have anything, I'm going on the train, goodbye." "Huh? Wait, I have something." Xiaolei reacted. Emo was her hero, the hero who saved her life. She finally met him, so how could she let him go just like that? "What's the matter?" Emo wasn't in too much of a rush. There were a few minutes before the train drove off. "Yes, oh, by the way, I haven't been able to thank you last time for saving me. I finally met you now, so I want to invite you to food." Then, she realized she was really dumb. Emo obviously had train tickets in his hands, but she asked him out for food. As expected, Emo waved the ticket in his hand and said, "That's no big deal, don't worry about it. You're probably going to do interviews at the Sky Ditch, aren't you? I have one suggestion, it's up to you if you listen or not. I advise you to not go in and stay away from the Sky Ditch." "Huh, you also know about the Sky Ditch?" "It should be fine now, a lot of journalists have been there. But now, they don't let us in yet. However, they've sent cameras inside and said there's a cauldron-like thing. They got a lot of images, and the specialists are analyzing it now. It's said that it could be from the Qing dynasty, so this Sky Ditch may be a tomb from the Qing dynasty." Xiaolei saw that Emo was going, but she had no reason for him not to go, so she tried to find something to talk about. Emo was originally just listening to her out of politeness. After all, it would be too rude to walk off when she was talking. However, Xiaolei's words grabbed his attention. It was a cauldron, and he happened to be missing a cauldron. He just didn't know if it was for concocting pills. Thinking about this, Emo asked, "Do you know how big the cauldron is?" Seeing that Emo seemed to be interested in this, she quickly said, "We don't know yet now, but I have some pictures now." Then, she took off her bag and started going through it. Emo subconsciously walked in front of Xiaolei. His heart was pumping. If that cauldron in the Sky Ditch really was a concocting pill cauldron, then he wouldn't need to go look for one. Although Emo had the material to craft a cauldron too, the cauldron he made with his current power would be far from enough to concoct pills such as face-preserving pill. Moreover, the materials to make the cauldron were relatively precious and hard to find. Xiao lay squatted on the ground, and the stunning view at her collar was exposed. Although Yemo was standing next to her, and could see easily with one glance, his mind wasn't focused on this. He was staring closely at her hands. To him, the cauldron was the most important thing. The moment Xiaolei took out the pictures, Yemo took it immediately. Although it wasn't very clear, but it could be seen that it was indeed a cauldron. Although it wasn't clear, he saw a ditch next to the cauldron. That was where the waste went. This was a concocting pill cauldron for sure. Yemo's heart thudded with joy. He didn't expect a cauldron to appear in front of his eyes just when he was thinking about one. At this moment, his impression of Xiaolei rose drastically. Were these taken at the sky ditch? Yemo took the photo and asked. Yeah, Xiaolei replied immediately. Then, she said, I came to pick up a coworker but didn't expect to meet you here. I'm really lucky. If you're not busy, I want to invite you to food. I will pay for your ticket later. Since he saw the cauldron, Yemo wouldn't be leaving for sure. Now that Xiaolei said that, he immediately nodded. Haha, the train has probably started now. You don't need to pay for me. See if your coworker has come. Xiaolei turned around and saw a man and a woman carrying bags walking over. She quickly waved her hands and said, Bai Jia Chudong here. Xiaolei, is this your boyfriend? We took a photo for you guys just then. The girl walked up to the two and shook hands with Yemo. Hello, I'm Bai Jia, Xiaolei's co-worker. Yemo then shook hands with Chudong before saying, I'm Yemo, I just met her not too long ago. Then, you must work harder. Xiaolei is the beauty of our channel. The people wooing her could line up and fill an entire street. Although you're not bad, but you still need to work hard. Bai Jia already started joking with Yemo. Xiaolei quickly punched Bai Jia. Bai Jia, stop it, stop saying weird things. Let's go, food is on me today. Yemo saved my life, it's not what you think. Chudong remembered and quickly said, Yemo, is he the master who saved you last time at Flowing Snake? I've been longing to see you. Even Bai Jia looked at Yemo differently. Obviously, his value was many folds higher now. Xiaolei pulled them away helplessly. She regretted telling everyone about it now. After he was forced to eat with the three, Yemo had to leave behind his number and take down theirs before he had a chance to go. Xiaolei was very disappointed, however. She finally managed to ask Yemo out, but they just ate and it was with her coworkers. There was no development at all. No way, Xiaolei, you really into him? Bai Jia saw the lost face Xiaolei had after Yemo left and joked. Xiaolei shook her head. She didn't really like him, but it was a feeling she couldn't describe. Compared to Yemo, the Wang Qianjun who left her behind was trash. However, she knew that no matter from which aspect, she was much worse than Ning Qingxue. And Ning Qingxue was his legal wife. If she didn't happen to meet him today, she wouldn't go look for him. Let's go, I'll tell you guys about the sky ditch. If we're successful, perhaps we can go in this afternoon. There's not only journalists from our channel, so the competition is very intense. I hope we can make the most fascinating report and beat the other channels, Xiaolei said. When Yemo returned to the Shenongjia, it was surrounded by troops with real guns. Many machines were digging, and any obstacles were removed. By the looks of it, perhaps it would only take half a day before they neared the sky ditch. The journalists surrounded the outside tried to take photos. Yemo noticed that there were some masters here, but the highest one was only black level elementary stage. He could avoid them with invisibility as long as he didn't use chi. It was only a few minutes, and Yemo got by the machines and came to the sky ditch again. Although it was just tens of meters away from the outside open space, the sound seemed to be turned off as soon as he came here. Everything was dead silent. A bleak wind flew past Yemo's ear. Yemo immediately knew this wasn't wind but something real. His spirit sense scanned and there was a faint shadow in the sky ditch. A bleak wind flew past Yemo's ear. Emo immediately knew this wasn't wind but something real. His spirit sense scanned and there was a faint shadow in the sky ditch. At this moment, the digging sound from outside seemed louder. Emo scanned his spirit sense in the sky ditch. There was an area of about 70 meters. There was a stand, but he couldn't see what was below the stand. Although Emo didn't really believe ghosts and ghouls, he wouldn't believe the words of those *T specialists. Each time there was an unexplainable phenomenon, it would be due to magnetic fields or some other *T. There were too many unexplainable things in the world, and Emo, who came from the cultivation realm, knew more unexplainable things there. In Emo's view, this was due to there being less spirit chi in the world. Spirit chi could make everything grow and become intelligent. Without spirit chi, the things in the world would lose its special attributes. Although Emo felt there was an evil spirit he couldn't see here, he didn't mind. His spirit sense could feel it. Plus, this evil spirit had a natural fear towards him. Emo jumped down the sky ditch and landed on the stand. He immediately saw a camera and threw a fireball without hesitation, burning the camera to ashes. He jumped from the stand and landed on the ground. As soon as he did, he saw numerous bodies. They died not long ago. This place was indeed strange. He scanned out his spirit sense. This place wasn't like what Shaolei said, an ancient tomb. It was a dried-up riverbed. There were stones and sand everywhere. There were also some ancient bones and rotten plants. Emo cared about the cauldron the most. He found the cauldron very soon at another stand. It was left there alone. Emo came to this stand and just when he wanted to pick it up, he felt an animosity struck from beside. He immediately knew it was that evil spirit before. Even Emo didn't know what it really was. If it was a ghost, why did it have a shadow? If it was an animal, why could it only be seen by spirit sense? Emo's main purpose here was the cauldron, but now that he was attacked by the spirit, he was furious. Plus, this thing scared Ningqingxue before. Perhaps the numerous corpses here were related to it. Killing intent rose as he immediately surrounded the shadow with his chi and threw multiple fireballs at it. It seemed that the evil spirit could only scare people and disappear. When it met a real cultivator like Emo, it couldn't resist at all. There was a sharp shriek, and it turned to dust. Emo was disappointed. It was that easy? He didn't even try and this thing was gone. No wonder a charm he made at stage 1 chi gathering could stop it. This thing could only stay in the sky ditch. If it left, even an ancient martial artist could kill it by sensing chi. But even though Emo killed it, he still didn't know what it was. At least, Emo knew there was no cultivators here. Emo didn't pay any more attention to it. He picked up that cauldron, but soon, he was disappointed. This cauldron was just a model. In other words, it was just something carved out of stone, placed here like a sign. Emo shook his head and put it back down. He followed the riverbed and walked down another 100 meters. Then, a huge stone door a few meters wide appeared. Was this really a tomb? It was obviously a dried-up riverbed though. He pushed the door, but there was no movement. This door wasn't something he could move with his current power. Emo pulled out that long sword from his ring and sliced 4 times towards the middle. The stone door was cut open like tofu. Emo scanned his spirit sense in, but the inside was filled with rotten air. There was no danger. Emo walked in and there were rows of rotten wooden shelves. There were lots of ceramic vases, wooden vases and even jade vases. With the wind Emo brought in, the rotten shelves all crumbled. Emo brushed away the dust and started to look around carefully. The first to appear in his eyes was a middle-sized cauldron. Emo checked it and discovered that it was not a model but a real cauldron. It had a dragon head on each side, with an opening at the waist and a lid. It was a well-equipped cauldron. It was the exact same as the model. Emo rejoiced and picked it up. It was a good cauldron indeed, and it concocted quite a lot of pills. Even after so many years, he could still smell a faint herbal smell. This was a good thing, but Emo could tell that it didn't come from the cultivation realm. Even he didn't know what material it was made from, but it was definitely top material. The craftsmanship was also top-notch, but it didn't have formation markings on it. Obviously, it wasn't used in the cultivation realm, but Yemo had the feeling this cauldron wasn't so simple. Yemo gathered the situation and made a guess. A long time ago, this place might be a hidden sect that concocted pills. In front of the sect was a river, but something happened and the river dried up. This sect was also buried underground. Pity he only got a cauldron. Yemo washed the cauldron clean, which showed an ancient model. Then, Yemo found the word Shenong at the bottom. Was this the cauldron used by the ancestor of Chinese's Shenong? If that's the case, then this cauldron was worth a fortune. Luckily, he came here first. With the cauldron, he could do many things. As long as he had enough herbs, he could concoct pills. This way, he would cultivate much faster. Yemo looked around the herbs that turned to dust around him and felt heartache. It was such a pity. He looked around carefully, but there really was nothing here. Yemo was satisfied he got a cauldron here and was prepared to leave. But at this moment, he turned around and saw that a stone person had appeared at the door. Yemo frowned. Did he not see it before? Also, he didn't take care when he went in. He didn't seem to remember seeing this stone person. This stone person seemed to have appeared after he took the cauldron. Indeed, this was quite eerie. Even so, Yemo didn't care. He already destroyed an evil spirit just then, so he wouldn't care about a mere stone person. Yemo walked over and scanned with his spirit sense. This stone person didn't have anything peculiar, and below it seemed to be an incense pot. Yemo walked in front of it, and carefully moved the stone person away. However, as soon as Yemo moved the stone person, he felt the ground shake. Not good. If Yemo still didn't know this stone person was a trap switch by now, he would be too dumb. As soon as the thought appeared, Yemo heard a large rumble from outside. Yemo scanned his spirit sense. The sky ditch collapsed again, and it was still reaching in. Yemo immediately understood that if he didn't get out in time, he would be buried alive. Even though he was stage 3 chi gathering, it would be very hard to climb out of the earth after being buried 100 to 200 meters underground. This place wasn't the desert. It was full of mud and rocks instead. However, Yemo didn't worry. Even if he was buried, it would just be hard getting out, but it didn't mean he couldn't. Waves of mud fell. He knew it wasn't plausible to leave through the stone door since it was probably filled up already. Yemo turned and ran inside. There were rotten wooden shelves and herbs everywhere. This made him think about the place he saw in the desert. There were many purple heart vines, but they all turned to dust. Yemo originally wanted to run to the end and open up a way with the long sword, but then he realized that if this place was a place to concoct pills, there couldn't only be one exit. But just when he reached the end, large packs of mud fell before he could pull out the long sword. Yemo knew it was too late. Now wasn't the time to regret. He immediately formed a barrier with his spirit chi to avoid being smashed by rocks. The collapse came and left quick. Just when Yemo couldn't hold it anymore, the collapse had stopped. Yemo knew he was completely buried underground. Although Yemo was buried underground, he didn't feel worried at all. He was scared of being buried because it would be too dirty to be covered in mud. But now that he was buried, he could still go out. It was just a bit troublesome, but 100 meters underground wasn't enough to take his life. Although Yemo was buried underground, he didn't feel worried at all. He was scared of being buried because it would be too dirty to be covered in mud. But now that he was buried, he could still go out. It was just a bit troublesome, but 100 meters underground wasn't enough to take his life. Yemo pulled out the long sword and started digging at the stone wall. He decided to dig forward. If there was no way out, he would start digging up because after 10 meters, there would be no place to place the rubbles. Yemo felt lucky. He only dug less than 10 meters and he eventually cut through. Fresh air came in and Yemo crawled out. It was in the middle of a cliff. He sighed. Although he was very dirty, he didn't have to get through 100 meters of dirt. Just when Yemo was prepared to leave, he heard voices from the top of the cliff. Yu Lian, I'll say it again, even if you chase me to the ends of the earth, I didn't take anything and I didn't kill Bienpa. The voice was a very pleasant female voice. Hearing this, Yemo wanted to extend his spirit sense out, but he immediately took it back. Yemo knew how strong Bienpa was. Since this person was suspected of killing Bienpa, it meant that she was at least on par with him, and the person who could reproach the woman about it obviously wasn't weak either. If he extended out his spirit sense now, it would suicide. Jingshi Dao friend, let's not talk bullsh*. You're not the only one who came to search for the red leaf pumpkin fruit, but it seems you're the only one alive. I saw you kill the Baldi Li gang, are you going to deny that? Killing Bienpa is forming enmity with Bien Song, and Bien Po's brother Bien Chao is expected to reach Earth level soon. Do you think he would let you go if words get out? Even your serenity would be in danger. The man called Julien talked very slowly, not showing the slightest worry at all. Yemo had guessed who the woman was. She was the nun who fought with the Baldi at the top of the cliff before. He just didn't expect the Baldi to be killed by her. From Yemo's perspective, the Baldi's sword was stronger than the nun, so he wondered how the nun killed him. It seemed this nun wasn't simple, and she was a ruthless woman. If he fought her, he needed to be careful. However, Jingshi said, "Believe it or not, although I killed Li Gang, I didn't kill Bienpa and I didn't get the red leaf pumpkin fruit. If you still won't believe me, I'm not afraid of you either." Yulian sneered. "I'm doing business with you genuinely, but you're like this. Jingshi, you have two choice. One is take out 3 red leaf pumpkin fruit and sleep with me once. Second is that I go to Dian Sang and say you killed Bienpa. Don't forget that although serenity is not bad, compared to Dian Sang, it is nothing." Shameless. Jingshi immediately reproached with fury. Yemo suddenly thought serenity, wasn't that Luo Susu's sect? He didn't expect this Jingshi to be from serenity, from the same sect as Luo Susu. He wondered who she was to Luo Susu. If they fought later, should he save her? Haha. Lian Yu laughed, but he stopped immediately. Jing 11, compared to your shamelessness, I'm so much more inferior than you. You caused your Shijie Jing Xian's death for a man. I'm right, aren't I? After you harmed your Shijie, you captured that man and F***ed other men in front of him to get revenge. Then, you killed all of them including the man you loved. Tell me, am I up to your standard in terms of shamelessness? You. The woman just said that and nothing else. Yulian wasn't in a hurry. He was just waiting for this Jingshi's reply. After a while, Jingshi said slowly, "Since you don't mind me, I'll agree, but I hope you will keep your promise." Then Yemo heard the rustling noise of clothes taken off. Wait. Yulian's voice stopped Jingshi from continuing to take off her clothes. Jingshi's voice grew soft. "Since I'm already in your hands and I agreed to your demands, what else do you want? It's a bit strange, things seem to be different from what I heard. Although I'm sure you killed the man you loved and you F***ed other men was true too, how can you still be a virgin?" Yulian's voice was full of vigilance. Before Jingshi replied, he sneered. "I've lost interest in you, you just need to take out 3 red leaf pumpkin fruits and our deal is over. After that you go your way, I go mine. I've F***ed countless women, and I can tell who is a virgin or not. Don't play tricks with me." Originally, Yemo was thinking if he should help Jingshi later, but after hearing their conversation, Yemo had completely lost that thought. It seemed both of them weren't good people. Why was Susu in such a chaotic sect? B***tch, you dared to sneak on me. Yulian's rageful voice sounded. Then Yemo heard fighting noise. From the sound, Yemo could tell Yulian used a sword and wasn't any bit inferior than Jingshi. Yemo had to hand it to Jingshi. Although he didn't know how she killed the triangle-eyed Baldi, she could still fight on par with Yulian after killing an Earth-level master. It could be seen how tenacious she was. He didn't dare to reach out his spirit sense, nor did he dare to climb up and watch, so he sat down. He would leave after the 2 was done. The clash of weapons were getting more frequent, then less frequent until it eventually stopped. Yemo waited another hour before extending his spirit sense up. The woman was gone and only the body of Yulian remained. Yemo climbed up the cliff, Yulian's throat was shattered by the horsetail whisk. Yemo searched his body and found a small jade plate. It wrote, 37. Yemo took the plate and burned Yulian to ashes. Just when he was prepared to leave, he noticed a bloodied bush on the way down. It seemed Jingxi left from here. This meant that she was quite heavily wounded. Thinking that Jingxi came from the same place as Luo Susu, Yemo followed quietly despite worrying about her strength. Although there were less blood on the road, Yemo could still find Jingxi's path with his spirit sense. 2 hours later, Yemo saw a fainted nun on the ground beside a stream. She was unconscious. It seemed she was too heavily injured. If she didn't faint, he could keep following her, but now Yemo was helpless. Yemo didn't know if he should save her. If he did, this woman who harmed her Shijia was obviously not a good person. Plus, Yemo didn't believe that Yulian would lie when there was only them two. If he didn't save her, Yemo still needed her to bring him into serenity. Just when Yemo squatted, his spirit sense noticed Jingxi's eyelids move. He immediately took back his spirit sense. He knew she was about to wake up. Yemo quickly walked up in front of her and said in surprise, Why is there a nun here? Did she also encounter a wild beast like me? Is she dead? Then Yemo was going to help her up, but at this moment Jingxi opened her eyes and quickly said, Thank you, I can move, can you help me get some water? I'm very thirsty. Huh, you're okay, that's good, I'm lost and was chased by a wild beast. I don't have any bottles on me, Yemo helplessly said. Don't worry, just scoop some with your hand. Then, Jingxi's face grew very pale after this. It was obvious she had lost a lot of blood. Yemo scooped a few handfuls of water for her to drink. Then, Jingxi took out a bottle from her clothes and wanted to rub some medicine on her wounds, but her hand shook for a long time and wasn't able to do it. Do you want me to help? Although Yemo really didn't want to help, he would be suspected by the nun if he didn't say that now. Thank you so much, help me tip the powder onto my wounds. She just spoke a few sentences and was already coughing heavily. Obviously, she was very heavily injured and lost a lot of blood. Yemo walked over and carried her on top of a big rock. Then, he opened the bottle open. This Jingxi looked like she was 30 at most, but Yemo felt she was much older than 30. But still, she felt very soft in his hands. Yemo actually thought of Ningqingxue. Ningqingxue's body was much more comfortable to carry than hers. There were quite a lot of wounds on her, but there were two that was the most serious. One was under her left breast, and another at her waist. Although Yemo was helping Jingxi with the medicine, he didn't notice her chest. He had all his attention on Jingxi's movements. This woman was a ruthless woman, so he needed to be wary if she were to suddenly strike. When Yemo opened up the clothes at her waist, he wasn't surprised by the nun's smooth white skin, but that she had a very sexy and attractive band that covered her belly and chest. There was actually this sort of nun. There were 2 lotus flowers embroidered on it with the words, My heart is the same as your masculine heart, never betray the feelings. Yemo was laughing to himself. It seemed this nun was quite an affectionate nun. But if this nun really killed the man she loved just as Yulian said, then she was too scary. There were 2 lotus flowers embroidered on it with the words, My heart is the same as your masculine heart, never betray the feelings. Yemo was laughing to himself. It seemed this nun was quite an affectionate nun. But if this nun really killed the man she loved just as Yulian said, then she was too scary. Yemo suddenly realized that he saw her band, and although it was just for a little while, he was worried that she noticed. Thinking about this, he carefully let out his spirit sense. He knew that this nun was heavily injured and didn't have the acute sense of when she was fighting. It would be hard for her to notice his spirit sense. Even so, Yemo was still very careful. He observed a while and this nun didn't seem to notice. It was just that her face was a little pale, and eyes were sunken. Yemo was slightly relieved. The nun's wound was near the band. Regardless, Yemo was prepared to rub the medicine there. The moment he lifted up the nun's band, he noticed a blink of killing intent flash across the nun's eyes. Emo sneered. She was a ruthless one indeed. He was treating her wounds, but she wanted to kill him. He needed to be more careful later. Emo's finger moved and a small grass from his ring fell into his hand. He lowered his head to block the nun's vision and took out the juice of the grass and added it into the nun's medicine before applying it to her wounds. Finally done! Emo gasped a sigh of relief and looked up. This number actually blushed a little and said in a quiet voice, "Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I would be dead for sure." Obviously, she was very shy when talking. It meant that she had her private areas seen and had the embarrassment of a woman. Emo had goosebumps all over his body. This nun was so much older than him, but she still acted young. Emo looked and shivered. Such a scary woman, her acts were so natural. If Emo didn't see the killing intent in her eyes before, perhaps he would even believe her. At this moment, he thought about Nie Shuangshuang. Both women had the natural talent in acting, but Nie Shuangshuang was far from this nun. Seeing Emo looking at her dazed, the nun thought this young man was shocked by her looks. More killing intent surged in her heart. He looked at her skin. Did he still want to live? And he had such lustful gazes. However, her face blushed more with embarrassment. She still needed him now. "I haven't asked for your name yet? You saved me life, Jingxi stuttered as though she really didn't have a way to pay Emo back for saving her life. Emo waved his hand and took back his gaze. "It's my honor to save a beautiful woman like you." "You don't need to pay me back. I'm called the Who. I wonder what your name is." Emo thought of Rhu at Luo Tsang and just came up with the name De Hu. Thank you, De Hu. I'm called Jingxier. I was wanting to collect some herbs here, but I met some bad people. I was stabbed by them. Luckily, I had some martial arts and I barely escaped here," Jingxi said shyly. Emo thought of her contemptuously. She wasn't too dumb, copying my excuse of being chased by wild beasts. However, his face immediately showed shock. "This means you know martial arts? I heard that there are many masters hidden in places, Sister Zier. Are you a master hidden from the normal world too?" Emo thought. "Since you want to act young and naive, I will let you act that way." Whatever Jingxi said, he would act with it. As expected, Jingxi acted embarrassed again, making people feel as though she hadn't talked with a man for a long time. Each time she spoke, it was as though she couldn't control her embarrassment. She looked down and said, "I'm no master, I've just learned a few moves from my master. My master is a real master." Haha, she wanted him to ask her to study martial arts. Emo rejoiced and nervously asked, Sister Zier, does your sect take male disciples? I've had a fervor towards martial arts since I was young." Hearing Emo's words, there was a look of realization in Jingxi's eyes, but she said, "I can go ask for you, but if your talent isn't good enough, there's nothing I can do. Worst comes to worst, when I get better, I can teach you a few moves in secret. How about this? Where do you live? I'll send you back. It's too dangerous here." Then, Emo looked nervously at her. He was really nervous this time because if this nun agreed, he would know where Luo Susu is. Jingxi frowned and sneered. He took the bait. But soon, she looked up with embarrassment. "Our temple is at Wuliang Mountain. It's just a bit far. I think it might be troublesome for you." "It's actually at Wuliang Mountain." Emo was quite surprised. Although he knew there were hidden sects there, he didn't expect Serenity to be there too. This nun could really run. She came all the way from Wuliang Mountain to Shinongjia. He was dazed for a moment and replied, "It's not a trouble. I like going around everywhere. I was planning to go Wuliang Mountain anyways. Now that I met you, we can go together." Emo sneered. She talked so much just so he could send her back. The two were thinking of the same thing, and so they reached accordance very soon. They were both women and very pretty ones too, but when Emo carried Ning Qingxue, his heart was filled with ripples. As for when he carried this nun, he was full of uneasiness. His spirit sense was watching the nun's every move, fearing that she would kill him at any time. If it wasn't for Luo Susu, he would never carry such a bomb on him. He must say that Jingxi was countless times more familiar with Shenongjia than him. Under her guidance, he only took 2 hours to walk out from there. Seeing that Yemo only breathed heavy a little, Jingxi refreshed her opinion of this young man. His endurance was so good. He had been carrying her for a few hours and only seemed a little tired. She didn't know that Yemo wasn't a little tired. In fact, he wasn't tired at all. What Jingxi more curious was that this De who seemed lustful when he was treating her. But now, even though he had been carrying her for more than 2 hours, he didn't even try to take advantage of her at all. This made her feel quite strange. Yemo didn't know he almost exposed himself due to this. He carefully asked, "Sister, how do we get to Wuliang Mountain? Do we take train or plane?" "No need, I will drive here." Jingxi pointed to a parking lot outside the Shenongjia. Yemo didn't expect this nun drove herself out. He saw it was an Audi cross-country vehicle with a military plate. This nun really was something. The nun also didn't expect that Yemo's car skills were so good. When Yemo just started driving, she could tell Yemo was a newbie and wasn't very familiar with driving, but after driving 200 kilometers, he was familiar with the car and increased the speed. Eventually, the car reached 256 kilometers per hour and was still rising. Yemo wanted to get there as soon as possible in case this nun recovered on the way and fought him. However, Jingxi stared at Yemo and thought, was this young man really a tourist? She was confident in her looks, and after being so intimate with him for so long, he actually didn't do anything or flirt with her. This wasn't the main thing. When he first started driving, his skills weren't good, but now, he was getting better and faster. There were smart people, but she had never seen someone who could learn this fast. And there was something else. This young man was looking around while driving. Obviously, his attention wasn't on the speeding car. Was he faking it? But what good was this to him? Jingxi looked at Yemo and felt more wary. Yemo thought of Luo Susu. He didn't notice his actions had aroused Jingxi's suspicion. It was his first time driving, but he got used to it soon. He learned this from Wendong. Seeing that Yemo was still looking around while the car was getting faster and faster, Jingxi couldn't hold it. If they crashed, it would be hard for her to live even if she wasn't injured, much less when she was heavily injured. "Dahu, drive slower, you're driving too fast, I'm feeling a little dizzy," Jingxi said. Oh. Yemo heard her words and had a fright. He woke up from his memories of Luo Susu. He had been using his spirit sense to check the road, but now, he realized that was problematic. He was driving too fast, and that must have gotten Jingxi suspicious. He drove fast because he subconsciously wanted to go see Luo Susu faster. Just when Yemo's car slowed down, a Porsche chased up to him. It lined up with Yemo's car. The window opened and a youth in his 20s said to Yemo, "Bro, your driving skills are not bad, how about we have a race? I actually couldn't catch up to you before." Just when Yemo's car slowed down, a Porsche chased up to him. It lined up with Yemo's car. The window opened and a youth in his 20s said to Yemo, "Bro, your driving skills are not bad, how about we have a race? I actually couldn't catch up to you before." Yemo also rolled down the window and looked at the youth. He smiled and didn't answer. At this moment, he revved up the engine and turned to the nun apologetically. "Sorry, Sister Zier, I've loved driving before and I often go into competitions. Due to some accident, the family didn't let me drive anymore. It's been 5 or 6 years since I last drove. Now when I drive, it was a little unfamiliar to me. I'll shake away this kid so he doesn't annoy us." Then, he showed an innocent smile. Although Yemo didn't know if this would remove her suspicion, he still had to do it. Then, seeing how Yemo increased the speed again, Jingxi frowned. Was this kid really a racer who haven't driven for a long time? However, his car skills were really good. If he was a racer, that could be true. After all, he hasn't drove for 5 years, so it was natural if he was a bit rusty. Plus, looking at how competitive he was, he didn't seem like someone very smart. Yemo's speed flew up again. Soon, he left behind the Porsche and it was getting farther and farther until it couldn't been seen. He looked back at the Porsche before slowing down again. The Porsche stopped, and a youth in his 20s came out. He patted the car hood and took a deep breath while looking at the Audi that disappeared. He talked to himself. This guy really is a maniac. I suspect he's a professional racer. Beijing Song family. Song Qiming and Dong Fangxi were talking when Song Hai suddenly ran in. What is it? Song Qiming understood Song Hai's personality. He was usually very calm, but he seemed very desperate today, meaning there was something important. Leader, I just got news. Nie Shuangshuang left Beijing 2 hours ago. We don't know where she's going, and the leave she applied at school is 1 month. Song Hai looked at Dong Fangxi. This plan was thought up by Dong Fangxi, but now, the main person had left. This meant that the plan was pretty much useless. Afterwards, not just Song Qiming, but even Dong Fangxi frowned. Nie Shuangshuang's leave was too coincidental. She didn't leave earlier nor later, but she had to leave when his plan was set. Song Qiming quickly reacted and worriedly looked at Dong Fangxi. Mr. Dong Fang, what do you think we should do now? Should we stop her? Dong Fangxi thought for a while and said, Nie Shuangshuang is gone. Trying to find her is like finding a needle in the desert. But I still have a few substitutes, let me think. Song Hai and Song Qiming didn't dare to disturb Dong Fangxi. They just sat by the side and waited. After a while, Dong Fangxi slowly said, In that case, I won't be polite. I heard Song family leader has an illegitimate daughter called Tang Beiwei. But now, she's living quite impoverished. However, her looks shouldn't be worse than Nie Shuangshuang. Song family leader, I believe you know about this, if she could replace Nie Shuangshuang. No. Song Qiming's face immediately went pale. That was his illegitimate daughter 21 years ago. He only heard about them 2 years ago, but in order to protect the mother and the daughter as well as his position, he had never contacted them nor given them financial support. Song Qiming didn't know how Dong Fangxi knew about this. Originally, Song Qiming planned to bring the two to Beijing after his position stabilized, but he didn't expect Dong Fangxi to know about this. Although it was very normal for this to happen in big families, Song Qiming raped the girl 20 or so years ago and made the mother-daughter fend for themselves for 20 or so years. If his political enemies knew about this, it would be a lethal blow to him. Other than him, he didn't tell anyone. He did the investigations himself as well, but Dong Fangxi even knew about this. In that case, there's nothing I can say, but I need to remind you that if you don't attack, perhaps you won't have much time. I'm leaving, goodbye. Then Dong Fangxi stood up and was about to go out. Mr. Dong Fang, please hold up. Song Qiming's face was pale. Then he tiredly said, Mr. Dong Fang, I've already wronged them for 20 or so years. If I'm still going to use them now, what difference am I to an animal? Mr. Dong Fang, can you change it to someone else? Dong Fangxi wasn't really going to go. He sat down again and coldly said, There's less than 1 month until the auction. You should know why I chose those two. Nie Shuangshuang is a natural actor and very alluring. Meanwhile, Tang Beiwei got acting awards in high school. It could be seen she has talent in acting. If that's the case, I'll find someone in the acting academy for you. Song Qiming's eyes were hopeful. Dong Fangxi shook his head. I've investigated the few major acting academies. There are no one who can match Nie Shuangshuang and Ning Qingxue in beauty. And those women are too pretentious. They're not the type Emo likes. That isn't the main point. The main thing is, Tang Beiwei would work for you with her life, but other girls would just think of it as an act. Song Qiming shook his head. If Tang Beiwei knew I was her father, she would hate me the most. How can she work for me with her life? Dong Fangxi laughed and drank the tea before saying, What if it's because of her mother? Song Qiming's face changed drastically. What's wrong with Tang Jin? Dong Fangxi sneered. Song Qiming was a cold-hearted person, but this sort of person suited his need perfectly. Song Qiming looks very worried, but in his heart, since when did he care about them? However, he slowly said, Tang Beiwei's mother is living in the hospital due to a heavy illness half a year ago. Now, the family is piled with debt. Although Tang Beiwei is working 3 jobs, she still can't pay for the heavy medical fees. If the Song family tells Tang Beiwei that they could solve these problems for her as long as she agreed to help, I believe she will agree 100%. Dong Fang she would have never thought that after Nie Shuangshuang left, and he found a substitute, his plan had no flaws anymore. Seeing Song Qiming being indecisive, Dong Fang she seemed very at ease. He wasn't worried at all that Song Qiming wouldn't agree. He would agree to his current wife and daughter, much less his illegitimate daughter. He understood Song Qiming very well. If there had to be a hole in the plan, it would be Emo. He had never seen Emo, so all of the info about Emo was based on other people's research. Tandu was a place famous for its beauty. Many rich people liked to settle here, but a few months ago, there was a big explosion here. Not only did it blow up the most luxurious mansion, but it also killed everyone inside. From then, the rich people started to move away. They felt Tandu was a dangerous place. This time, it was the richest, perhaps next time would be the second richest, the third. Yemo and Wendong didn't know that their explosion created such an effect. In the second hospital of Tandu, an extremely skinny woman laid on the patient bed. She looked at the ceiling with dumbed eyes. The medicine bottle was empty, but no nurse came to change it. A disheveled girl held a warm bottle and walked in very quickly. She saw the bottle of saline solution was empty, so she quickly went to call the nurse. The nurse wasted some time before finally taking a saline solution in but didn't switch to serum. Just when the girl wanted to say something, she was pulled by the woman on the bed. Seeing the girl come over, the woman sighed. Xiao Wei, let's go back, I don't want to stay here. There are some things I need to tell you when we go back. No, Mom, don't worry, I will save up enough for the bills, you will get better, the girl said affirmatively. The woman shook her head, took out a bracelet from underneath the pillow and gave it to the girl. Keep this, it should be left behind by your family. Don't lose it, it's a pair, when you find the other pair, they would be your family. Mom, I have no family other than you. The girl held her mom's hands tightly while sobbing. Sigh. The woman on the bed sighed. After a while, she said, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on someday. There are some things I need to tell you. The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. Mom! The girl grabbed the woman's hands and worriedly called out. The woman on the bed had melancholic eyes as she continued. At that time, I lived in a temple. The head monk was very nice, and he got doctors to save me. But I lost the child in my stomach. Hearing this, the girl was more anxious. Her mother lost her child. Who was she then? The woman seemed to know what the girl was thinking and sadly said, At that time, I rather died than lived. Although my body recovered, but I had no desire to live. The head monk saw my desolation and tried to convince me. Later, when I was fully recovered, I wanted to become a nun. But at this moment, the head monk brought a girl that was barely 1. He said someone left her at the door of the temple. The girl seemed to have understood something. Her face was pale. Was it not her mother in front of her? Sighed Bei Wei, you are not my biological daughter. I don't know who your parents are either. At that time, the head monk just brought a jade bracelet, and said 2 children were brought to the temple, but I don't know where the head monk sent the other. I was troubled at heart then and didn't ask. I heard the child was taken away by a young couple that came to burn incense. Mum. The girl's eyes were red and swollen as she grabbed the woman's hand and said, Mum, no matter what, you are my mother, you are my only kin in this world. The woman caressed the girl's hand amiably and said, Bai Wei, I might not live for long, remember, that temple is called Luohong Temple. The head monk is called Wushan. When you go to Beijing, you need to go look. Then, when the woman was about to fall asleep, the girl quickly positioned the woman well and stood up. She didn't care about her birth, she just wanted to gather money to treat her mother. May I ask, are you Tan Beiwei? A middle-aged man walked into the room and asked. Tang Beiwei looked up with confusion at the man and nodded. Yes, what's the matter? The middle-aged man showed an amicable smile and said, I have some things to discuss with you privately, do you have the time? Tang Beiwei frowned. She had never seen this person before, but she didn't mind talking to him privately since she had nothing at hand. It was 3 p.m, and Yi Mo's car had arrived at a private mansion near William Mountain. What Yi Mo didn't expect was that this was the nest of Jing Shi. Despite Jing Shi saying this was her relative's place, Yi Mo didn't believe it at all. This woman thought of him as an idiot. Since he came, he would keep notice of Jing Shi all the time, even when she showered. This wasn't the time to be a gentleman. He knew that this Jing Shi might be suspicious of him a little. Regardless, he couldn't relax. He must say that although she wasn't young, she still kept her looks as though she was a girl in her 20s. When she took off her clothes, her curves were very distinct, and her skin was milky white. The 2 big boobs on her chest didn't sag down at all. It was strangely tall standing. Yi Mo carried this woman before and knew how smooth and elastic her skin was. Sometimes, Yi Mo even doubted himself, thinking perhaps Jing Shi was only 20. And he saw that most of her wounds had formed scabs, meaning her powder was quite potent. She was very precise when taking a shower, rubbing herself carefully and even looking at herself in the mirror. Yi Mo thought that this woman really loved beauty, but she was beautiful indeed. Looking at a naked woman showering with his spirit sense, even though he knew she was quite old and ruthless, he couldn't help but feel a little aroused. Just when Yi Mo thought nothing would happen and was about to take back his spirit sense, the nun started to feel her waist. It was the place Yi Mo tipped the powder. Yi Mo immediately began to worry. Was she that smart? Did she notice he did something there? Jing Shi put her finger on it, felt it, and then smelt her finger. Yi Mo saw her frown and his heart started to beat faster, thinking this nun was so astute. However, he felt slightly relieved. She eventually didn't do anything out of the ordinary. She also took off her hand and felt it before carefully putting it aside. She seemed to treasure that band a lot. Suddenly, Jing Shi stopped all her movements and looked alert everywhere. Yi Mo was sure that she was sensitive to his spirit sense again, so he quickly took it back. "Dahu, are you there?" Yi Mo heard the nun call out in the living room. He knew the nun didn't feel safe about him, and wanted to confirm where he was. He answered without hesitation. Then, he finally felt relieved. Luckily, she didn't feel his spirit sense, or he would have been exposed. Soon, she finished her shower and saw Yi Mo was still at the living room. She embarrassingly said, "I was a little afraid by myself, so I called out to you." Yi Mo smiled naively and said, "Don't worry, I'm going to sleep first." However, he was more careful. This nun was too alert. He was worried she would try something with him tomorrow. It would be best he left a mark on her tonight. And when he helped her rub on the powder, the killing intent in her eyes were raw. This meant that in her eyes, people's lives were no different than grass. Yi Mo cultivated for half the night, and woke up very early and made breakfast. Then, he waited for Jing Shi. Jing Shi woke up and saw the congee and small dishes were very exquisitely made. She approved of Yi Mo's diligence and organization. This youth was not bad, she even didn't want to kill him. However, those who saw her skin must die no matter what. Seeing how he's so nice, she would let him die easier. "Sister Zier, I cooked some congee, you haven't recovered yet, eat some." Yi Mo took a bowl and chopsticks for Jing Shi. It tastes not bad, thank you, Dahu." Jingxi felt that this kanji was good indeed. Yemo naively smiled and said, "It's nothing, as long as you like it, I can cook more for you." Jingxi suddenly felt dazed. Why did these words sound so familiar? Many years ago, that man also said that. "Sister's ear, as long as you like it, I can stay with you every day." But then, after he saw her Shurjie, he gradually distanced himself from her and slept with her Shurjie. This B***TCH couple, so what if she harmed her Shurjie? That man still looked at the place her Shurjie went into solitary training every day. Jingxi's face gradually grew bleak. Yemo didn't expect his words to make the nun's face so bleak. He thought to himself that this woman was really unpredictable. Yemo was scared that she was suddenly going to attack and his plan would be spoiled, so he quickly said, "Sister's ear, hurry and eat, it's getting cold." "I don't want to eat it, Dahu, wait here for me today. I'll go back and tell my master, if my master is willing, I'll come back and pick you up." Jingxi stood up and said. Yemo's heart sunk. This woman didn't take him as he expected. She really was bad. Cross the river and take apart the bridge. He stood up worriedly and said, "Sister's ear, but I also want to see." Jingxi smiled sweetly and pointed at his head with her finger. "Dahu, would I lie to you? Trust me, I'll come pick you up at night and let my master see you once at least." Yemo knew it was no point talking anymore and just tried to make a mark on her and follow. Thinking about this, he walked hopefully with a blushed face. "Sister's ear, you're really pretty, I want to hug you." "Huh?" Jingxi was shocked by Yemo's request. The honest Dahu in her eyes dared to make such a request. She suddenly remembered when she took a shower last night and felt someone was peeking. Was it him? But she could tell he hadn't practiced ancient martial arts before. If he was peeking, how could she not know? But what if it was him peeking? Thinking about this, Jingxi looked at the hopeful Yemo and realized he was a very handsome man. The features on his face were distinct, and his eyes were very clean. Looking at Yemo, Jingxi felt a sense of familiarity. That time, he also looked at her hopefully like this, saying, "Sister's ear, you're really pretty, I want to hug you." Is it him? Jingxi had this sense of fire in her heart. Ever since that man appeared, she had never felt like this before. Yemo saw that Jingxi looked at him dazed. He thought not good. He couldn't wait for her to reject. If she did, it would be impossible for him to hug her and make the mark. Yemo decisively walked up and hugged Jingxi, who was already a little blushed on the face. Jingxi's heart was already racing, and Yemo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yemo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now, she actually felt a little lustful. Jingxi's heart was already racing, and Yemo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yemo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now, she actually felt a little lustful. Yemo immediately felt Jingxi's heart starting to feel hot and soft. He didn't think of anything else and quickly made a spirit sense mark on her clothes. It was very fast, and he was done. Then, he felt relieved and let go of his hand but noticed that Jingxi had closed her arms around his waist. Her eyes seemed strange. Was this woman aroused? Yemo felt shocked, and just when he wanted to talk, he saw Jingxi, with misty eyes and breathing heavily, say, "Brother Chie, carry me into the room." She was aroused indeed and thought of him as her brother Chi. Yemo didn't want to go in bed with this woman. If he lost his virginity to this ruthless nun, he would rather do it himself. Although the nun was very enticing and Yemo a bit aroused too, he once cultivated to foundation establishment. It wasn't the first time he was attracted to a woman. He could even resist Ningqingxue, much less a nun that he didn't like. He was someone of principle. If he didn't like the person, he could still control such urges. However, Yemo wouldn't waste the opportunity. He reached his hand into Jingxi's hair and made another mark on her hair tie. Then, he shook Jingxi. Sister's ear, are you okay? Jingxi was just looking at the man of her dreams slowly walk towards her and hug her and saying all those lovely things in her ear. But just when she was aroused, she was woken up by Yemo. Jingxi immediately reacted. She looked at Yemo for a moment but froze really quick. She let go of her hands and felt her hair. Then, her eyes were hateful again. As she stared at Yemo for a long while before saying, "Dahu," just then. "Oh, never mind, I'm going to rest. Wait for me to come back. Don't worry about my master, I won't treat you bad." Jingxi turned around, and when she walked out of the mansion, she even felt lost herself. She actually didn't get angry just then, nor did she kill Dahu. With her current recovery, it would be all too easy to kill a normal person. She shook her hand. Other than the man who betrayed her, it was the first time she showed mercy. Yulian said she killed that man, but only she knew she didn't. However, she did flirt with other men in front of him, but she killed them afterwards. Yemo followed carefully but not daring to follow too close. She was already marked by him, so even if he didn't follow closely, he wouldn't lose her. Jingxi took out a phone and made a call. Yemo didn't even notice she had a phone when he carried her yesterday. This meant she took it last night. Yemo was too far and could barely hear the words, "throw under the cliff." Despite not hearing her words clearly, he could guess it. This vicious woman was calling people to kill him and throw him under the cliff. Since she was calling people over, he couldn't keep following her and needed to wait for the men she called. Yemo came back to the mansion. He didn't wait long, and it was only an hour and a car drove here. A man in his 30s came out. He wasn't very sturdy looking, but Yemo could tell he was yellow level elementary stage. "Are you Dahu?" the man asked Yemo. Yemo nodded. "Yeah, who are you?" The man laughed and said, "I'm Tianpa. Zir Shermei told me to bring you up the mountain. Her master had agreed, but needs to check to see if you can cultivate. If you can't, then she can't do anything either." Yemo nodded. He knew the man came to kill him, but he also knew that he wouldn't be able to ask about anything useful from this man, so he didn't bother. Yemo didn't ask, and Tianpa spoke very little. The route he took was very steep, there weren't even roads in many places. After walking for nearly 2 hours, Tianpa brought Yemo to a cliff and said, "Brother, you've got quite good stamina." Yemo made a breathing action and smiled. "I'm okay. I used to climb mountains a lot." Then Yemo scanned down the cliff with his spirit sense. He estimated it to be a few hundred meters tall, and it was steep like it was cut by a knife. Yemo just found a small protrusion at around 50 meters, but there were no landing spaces at around 100 meters. He couldn't scan any further. There's something here?" Tianpa walked to the cliff and curiously spoke. Yemo also walked up while asking, "What is it? Let me see." And he intentionally gave his back to Tianpa, knowing that the latter was about to attack. As soon as Yemo walked to the cliff side, Tianpa pushed on his back. Yemo screamed and fell down like a shooting star. Yemo calculated the position and tapped his feet at the 50-meter protrusion. Then, he immediately found there was a ditch 70 meters further down. Yemo kept falling until he neared the ditch and used wind-controlling technique to go in. Then, he quickly took out the sword and dug the stone, hiding his body. As soon as Yemo hid, Tianpa said from above, "Brother, don't blame me, I'm just following orders, too bad you liked the wrong person." Then Tianpa picked up the phone and called. "It's done, oh okay. I'll wait for you at Liangnon Cliff then." Yemo heard and felt joyful. It seemed that none was coming. This was good, otherwise, after Tianpa left, although he had spirit sense mark, it wouldn't be easy to find Jingxi. After all, the geology of Wuliang Mountain was too complicated, and he still couldn't fly yet. Yemo didn't wait for long. It was only an hour before he heard Jingxi's voice. Unfortunately, he was more than 100 meters down, and couldn't reach up with his spirit sense. "Very good, you did well, there's a basic cultivation method here, take it." As soon as Jingxi finished speaking, Yemo heard Tianpo's gratitude. Not long after, there was the exclamation of Tianpa. "Jingxi, you actually killed me, Then, the sound suddenly stopped, and Yemo saw a figure fall down extremely fast. After a long while, he heard the thud from the bottom of the cliff. He thought this woman was really strong, but he couldn't understand why she didn't kill him herself. Why take all the trouble? He kept notice of the footsteps. As soon as Jingxi left, he would come up and follow her, but after a long while, Yemo didn't hear her footsteps. He was bemused and thought to himself, "Did she leave?" Just when Yemo was confused, Jingxi's voice sounded again. "Dahu, although you saved me, you looked at my body. I swore that men who looked at my body will die, but I had feelings for you. Did you know, I really wanted to give myself to you that morning, but you woke up me. You really are dumb. Tianpa killed you, and I have avenged you, rest in peace." Yemo was so angry he almost spat blood. This woman was really shameless. It was she who called Tianpa to kill him now, yet she said it so modestly. What sort of revenge was this? "You say I'm very pretty, do I really look pretty? But my heart is already taken by that man. Sorry, Dahu, perhaps I'll come see you when I'm free." Jingxi's voice stopped, and it was a long silence. Yemo sighed. This woman was crazy, a completely mad woman. He was just worried for Luo Susu. Could she be well living with a crazy woman like this? It would be best if this mad woman had no connections with Luo Susu at all. Then after a while, when Yemo was impatient, Jingxi suddenly started laughing hysterically. "Shijie, did you think you could avoid me after sending your daughter out and taking her back as your disciple? You never would have thought she will end up like you soon, ha ha ha. Your daughter is really like you, not a good thing either. She just went out once and is thinking about men and can't even calm her heart down. Sometimes I really want to see what sort of man your daughter loves. Shijie, do you know what I want to do the most? I want your daughter to see me with her man in bed. Too bad you're dead. If you didn't die, would you be very shocked seeing the man your daughter love in bed with me? Although I stayed virgin for that bastard so many years, I don't mind giving my first time to the man of your daughter, ha ha." Yemo shook his head. This nun was really unreasonable. She lost in love but was dragging this on to the offspring of her Shijie. Now, she wouldn't even let go of her Shijie's daughter. She probably never lived outside. If she lived in the city, perhaps she would have killed herself 10 times due to loss of love. Yemo thought and felt pity for this nun. She was a woman crazed with love but just followed the wrong man. Just when Yemo was getting impatient again, there was finally the sound of the nun leaving. Yemo immediately got up and tapped multiple times on the smooth cliff face. With the help of wind-controlling technique, he came to the top of the cliff very fast. Looking at the something, he was stunned. Yemo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. Yemo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. F***ck Yemo had black lines down his head. If others didn't know about the full story, they would have thought he was her man and accidentally fell off the cliff and she came to cry. Yemo kicked these things down the cliff thinking go sacrifice this to that Tianpa. After kicking these away, Yemo didn't dare to waste time and followed closely behind Jingxi. Although he didn't dare to follow too close, he wouldn't lose her with the spirit mark. The places she walked were all steep mountain roads. If Yemo didn't have wind-controlling technique, or made the mark on her, he wouldn't be able to keep up. It was nearly 3 hours later, but Jingxi was still running in the mountain roads. Yemo was speechless. This serenity was really hidden deep. They had been walking for so long. It was another hour or so when Jingxi came to a cliff. It was covered in clouds. Yemo thought, did she want to suicide and jump? He jumped because he had wind-controlling technique, but even if this nun was earth level, she would die jumping off now. Just when Yemo was still guessing, Jingxi sat down, and after half an hour, she really jumped down. Emo had a fright. Why did this woman run here to suicide? Was this place Serenity? Emo waited for a while and made sure he wouldn't be found before looking at the edge of the cliff. But soon, he understood. There were metal chains 10 meters down, and it was covered by the clouds. When Emo looked again, the metal chain had disappeared. What was this? He scanned down his spirit sense and felt the metal chain appear in his spirit sense again. He didn't know the end of it, but obviously its length far exceeded the range of his spirit sense. The nun left along this chain. Emo thought of Luo Susu. Did she have to go past this chain each time she came out? She was only yellow level, so it was very dangerous for her to come out. And he couldn't see the metal chain before and could only scan it with his spirit sense. This meant the metal chains were placed strangely, perhaps according to some formation allowing it to show sometimes under the sun. Emo also understood now why Jingxi sat down for half an hour after coming. She was waiting for when the metal chain could be seen again. It seemed this chain could only been seen once in a while, and people could only jump when they could see it. Otherwise, if they misstepped, they would fall to death. The time the chain could be seen was definitely short. Although Emo had spirit sense and could see the chains at any time, he still wanted to see if he was right. He also sat down for half an hour, but the metal chains still didn't appear. It seemed the time interval was more than half an hour. Since it wasn't half an hour, Emo couldn't be bothered waiting. He didn't need to see the chains with his eyes, so he jumped. After going for more than 100 meters, he came to the opposite site. It was a small platform. Other than this platform, there was nowhere else to go. Jingxi came to this platform and disappeared? How could that be possible? Emo looked around and was sure this was a cliff. There was nothing suspicious, and the bottom couldn't be seen. Emo scanned with his spirit sense and soon noticed something wrong. There was a palm-sized sink 2 meters above the platform. It seemed quite strange. Emo jumped up and felt the sink. It was smooth on the outside but uneven on the inside. Emo put his hand on his nose and smelt. There was a faint aroma. Emo immediately knew who that aroma belonged to. It was Jingxi. He was still hugging her this morning and knew her scent very well. This sink was probably some sort of trigger. The sink was uneven, a bit like a keyhole. This meant that Jingxi had something that she could put in the sink and act like a key. No wonder the hidden sects were so hard to find. They were in such a distant place and had such a strange key. Normally, people definitely wouldn't be able to go in without a key, but Emo was different. He could go in even if there was a formation here. However, if a formation really existed in this place, Emo was unsure too. Because too many formations needed spirit stones to supply power. Without it, only jade stone could be used, but jade stone could only be used to make the lowest level formations. It definitely wouldn't be able to hide sections. There weren't spirit stones on Earth, this Emo knew. Well, at least, he hadn't seen one up until now. Emo sat on the platform and took out a blob of black metal. It was an ordinary block of iron which Emo bought at Luotsang. He raised his hand, a gust of fire enveloped the metal. Soon, it melted into something like a black plate. Emo looked at the sink with his spirit sense, and in less than half an hour, a metal plate appeared in his hand. If the person who set this trap up saw Emo make a key in just half an hour, they would die of fury. After making the plate, Emo jumped up and inserted the plate. It was perfect and fit closely in the sink without any crevice, but Emo waited a while and there was no reaction. Emo thought, was there another trigger? He casually twisted the metal plate. Then, he immediately noticed that on the cliff face 5 meters below, a small tunnel appeared. Emo called himself an idiot. A key needed to be turned. He quickly took the metal plate and jumped over. It was a stone tunnel inside the cliff, and after walking for about 50 meters, the view opened up as he came out. There was a twisted valley road that extended in. Emo walked a while and the grass and trees started appearing. There were even a few bunnies running across occasionally. Emo sighed. Although this wasn't a small world like Daoistian said, it was definitely well hidden. The ancestor of serenity who moved the sect here was a genius. If only he had a place like this now. Yemo walked along the road for about an hour or so and came to the foot of a mountain. The region broadened up, and he could still barely see the sky. There were many farmlands excavated out with vegetables planted in them. He walked along the mountain for a few hundred meters and a large pact of buildings appeared. The big front door had the huge word, serene. It seemed very ancient and calm. Yemo stopped walking. So this was serenity. The environment seemed not bad, and it had the feeling of a paradise immortals lived in. What should he do next? Immediately go look for her or make a plan first? Any nun who came out from serenity like Jing Shi was an earth-level master, so Yemo didn't think he was invincible here. If that bunch old nuns were easy to talk to, it would be fine. If not, he could never return. They weren't easy to talk to for sure. Just look at Jing Shi, that crazy woman. Yemo had the subconscious thought of not letting Luo Susu stay here. No matter what, he needed Luo Susu to agree. If she didn't want to leave, he had no choice either. After all, they only met once, so it could be said it was a single-sided love. He needed to go for sure, but before this, he needed self-protective measures. Otherwise, if he saw Jing Shi, perhaps he would be thrown down the cliff before he saw Luo Susu. How could he protect himself? With his current power, he was still no match for Jing Shi. Perhaps when he was at the tertiary level of stage 3, he could fight her, but now, he was only middle level. He had some simple techniques, but that wouldn't be a threat for that woman. And perhaps this woman wasn't the strongest. He was a cultivator, and his only assurance where he could rely on was his techniques. It wasn't plausible to wait till his cultivation level got higher. The spirit chi here was so scarce, when would he be able to progress? Although he had the 1,000-year snow lotus seed in a cauldron, it wasn't so easy to concoct pills, plus, even if he did, he needed time to digest them. The only thing he could rely on was his techniques, but a single fireball or wind blade wasn't quite useful. The only thing he could rely on was the element of surprise, but even that would only work once. What if he had large amounts of fireball and wind blade? Thinking about this, he had an idea. During battle, if he threw a large amount of fireball charms or wind blade charms, it would be like many of him fighting the one enemy. Although it was hard to make the fireball charm and the power would be half, there was power in quantity. Yes, he would use this hooligan way of fighting. Thinking about an earth-level nun being surrounded by countless fireball and jumping up and down, Yemo wanted to laugh. I'm a hooligan, how can I be scared of a few nuns? He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. There were no demon beast blood here, but he could replace it with ferocious beast blood. The main thing was that it took too much time. Last time, Yemo took a month to make 8 runes, but 8 weakened fireball runes wouldn't be able to do anything to that nun. Although it was related to his cultivation level at the time, Yemo didn't think he could make very much a day. Yemo thought for a long time and couldn't think of a better way to protect himself. He couldn't improve his power, so he could only improve his equipments. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to see Susu today, but it was fine that he knew she was here. He needed to go back and make some preparations. Thinking about this, Yemo came back the way he came from. He decided to make runes first, and bring large amounts of runes to find trouble with Jing Shi. He needed large amounts of money to make runes, but he didn't have much now. Last time, he cured Zhua Aigua's uncle's disease, but he was embarrassed to ask for money. Now, he realized how much he needed money. But Yemo had some ways for getting beast blood. He searched Wuliang Mountain the entire night, and hunted a leopard and a deer. Their blood was enough. Then, Yemo left Wuliang Mountain and came to Yiyuan City. It wasn't too far from Wuliang Mountain. Yemo bought large amounts of yellow biao paper and some red ink sand before buying a brush. He spent the only money he had on him. He wanted to call Erhu and ask if he had money, but thinking about it, Yemo gave up the idea. He wasn't at Luotsang, an heir whose business must not be going well. Perhaps they didn't even get one single order. This was possible. If heir who knew he needed money, he would give heir who mental burden. He should use up the materials he had first. Yemo found a hotel and hung up the sign "Do Not Disturb" before starting to focus on making runes. Although his idea was good, reality disappointed him. After a whole day, he wasted 20 sets of materials, but only made 6. Although it was countless times better than before, Yemo was still very unhappy with the result. The second and third day were slightly better. He made 16 altogether, but he wasted more. If things continued like this, Yemo felt it wasn't going to work out. First, he expended materials too fast. Second, it was too slow. The fourth day, the 100 sets of materials Yemo prepared only had 20 left. He felt things weren't going to work. If he couldn't improve the means he made the runes, he would need to gather more money. Making runes was a money-burning thing. Tang Beiwei stared at the middle-aged man, his amicable face before became hideous in her eyes. She had never met him before, but he wanted her to trick someone she didn't know. A sense of disgust rose from her heart. Tang Beiwei couldn't even be bothered to look at the middle-aged man as she said, "Sorry, I'm not interested." Then, she turned to leave. The middle-aged man didn't even move as he slowly said, "According to what I know, if your mother doesn't have surgery soon, she would last half a month at most. Think about it, how hard was it for her to bring you up? When you're finally grown up, she needs to leave. If you don't have a way, never mind, but you do have a way to save her now, but you don't choose it. Ask yourself, are you treating her right? You." Tang Beiwei turned around and looked at the man in fury. "You want me to trick someone I don't know? I'm not treating my sense of moral right." "Humph," the middle-aged man sneered. "Do you think we can't choose other people? I'll be honest with you, I pity you, that's why I chose you. This is very simple. You just need to bring that man to a place, and you don't need to worry about the rest. This isn't tricking. If he really likes you, at most, you told him a lie once." Tang Beiwei's face changed drastically. She detested the man in front of her, but she knew he was saying the truth. If her mother didn't get surgery, she would last 2 weeks at most. Thinking about how her mum brought her up, pushing a small trolley to do business regardless of the wind or the rain, Tang Beiwei felt her heart was bleeding. She hesitated for a long time before asking, "Take him to where?" Yemo walked out of the hotel and pondered. There was a way to get money, but since Qingxue was living at Ninghai, she must not have much on her. How about he borrow some from Jingwen? She was a wealthy girl, shouldn't it be a problem? But then it was hard for him to ask a girl for money. Yemo thought and still couldn't make up his mind. He took out a jade artifact and looked. He decided to go to the magic artifact shop and see if he could sell it for a good price. If no one could tell its worth, he would then borrow from Su Jingwen. On the opposite side of the street, a middle-aged woman pushed a small trolley with food. She was selling snacks for night. A car drove past quickly with the markings City Management on it. She quickly packed up her stall, but she accidentally spilt all the sauces on the ground. The middle-aged woman looked anxiously as the car drove past. She gasped a sigh of relief and then slowly started to pick up the things on the ground. Although no one helped her, a girl in her 20s came in front of the stall and helped her pick things up. Yemo smiled and thought this girl had a good heart. The magic artifact shop wasn't far from Yemo's hotel. He just walked a few minutes and he already arrived. The place was a small building, but Yemo didn't feel any sense of spirit at all from afar. He knew it wasn't very good and hesitated if he could sell his jade. And opposite this shop was a bar. From a business point of view, it was very unreasonable. "Sir, would you like to buy magic artifact?" As soon as Yemo walked in, a girl in her 20s came and asked. Yemo smiled / "I'll take a look first." "Okay, please take your time." The girl was very polite, but Yemo knew no matter how polite she was, not much customers would come if there were no real things. Yemo scanned and was disappointed. These were worse than the ones from the social night. It could be said none of them were real. In this situation, it would be impossible for the boss to pay him a high price. Yemo thought so, and he knew he shouldn't even bother. Just when Yemo turned his head and walked out of the shop, he saw the girl who helped the middle-aged woman pick things up being harassed into a bar by two youths who had their hair dyed like a ghost. The girl was struggling, so it was obvious she was being forced. Yemo frowned. This was a legal society, so how could this happen in broad daylight? Yemo knew about this, but it wasn't even dark yet. He had a good impression of this good-hearted girl and was prepared to help her throw the two youth away, but he scanned his spirit sense and stopped his actions. Although the girl was pulled in by the two youth and her head was low while struggling, Yemo could scan the corner of her eye. There was no fear nor anger and worry. Her eyes were full of guilt, deep guilt. She was being abducted but felt guilty. Yemo shook his head. He saw it clearly with his spirit sense. What was this? Her abnormal eyes made Yemo hesitate, so he didn't go up to save her. Yemo walked slowly towards the door of the bar but kept his spirit sense to the girl. The two youths pulled her into a private room and slammed the door shut. Yemo didn't come save her. Tang Beiwei felt relieved but disappointed. The good-looking youth had such little courage. However, since he didn't take the bait, she couldn't be blamed. Rip, a large part of Tang Beiwei's top was ripped down, showing large pieces of snowy white skin. Stop! What are you doing? Stop! Tang Beiwei's eyes showed worry. Wasn't this an act? Why was it real now? Ha ha, stop! Do you think someone Wang Xian, is interested and can run away? A small door opened in the room and a youth walked out. Tang Beiwei angrily broke free of one hand and said, I had a business deal with Wei Yongqian. He told me to come and act. Let me go. Ha ha, act? Wang Xian laughed again. Do you like acting? Very well, Lang Pai shows something. Let me and this chick watch while we act. This watery-eyed girl, my money is well spent. The red-haired youth that grabbed Tang Beiwei agreed and let her go. Then, he took out a remote and the TV immediately showed a pair of nude male and female, yelling and moaning. Just when Yemo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? Just when Yemo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? At this moment, Tang Beiwei realized she might have been sold, and Yemo didn't follow her. The people in here were being real. There was no doubt about it. She broke free of one person and rushed to the door. Wang Xian quickly came up and pulled her. You want to go? I've paid money, you haven't paid for that yet, don't think about running. Animal, let me go, if you pull me again, I'm going to call the police. Why was she so stupid? She was tricked to a city she had never been before to trick someone else. Was this karma? Rip, another piece of her clothes was ripped off, and her face was now full of despair. Brother Wang, enjoy her first, we'll go out to ease some fire too. The two youths saw the scene on the TV get spicier and was burning with lust. Before Wang Xian spoke, a voice replied, Since you came, you don't need to leave. Who? Everyone in the room looked towards the door as though in tacit agreement. A young man appeared there. No one knew when he came in. Tang Beiwei immediately recognized that youth was the person she was supposed to trick. He was called Yemo. She didn't expect him to really fall for it. She took the opportunity to hide behind Yemo, cursing Wei Yongqian over and over again. She was also tricked by him, so she would reveal all of his evil plans later. Who are you? Don't you know this is my territory, punk? Piss off, don't piss me off. Wang Xian was full of anger being interrupted when he was about to enjoy life. Yemo raised his leg and kicked Wang Xian into the room, then kicked the other two in as well. The three couldn't resist at all. Yemo turned to Tang Beiwei and said, Wait for me, I'll ask them a few questions inside. Then, Yemo went in and closed the door. At this moment, The three finally realized Emo was a tough guy. Emo scanned the three and suddenly threw out 2 fireballs, burning the 2 lackeys into dust. They didn't even have time to scream. Then, Emo sat and looked coldly at Wang Xian. You have 3 seconds. If you don't tell me the full story, you will be like that too. Wang Xian looked at his 2 lackeys turned to dust in terror. His teeth was rattling, and he couldn't say a complete sentence. He had never seen this sort of thing before. 2 fireballs and people were dead. There wasn't even a body left. If you're not going to speak, then don't. Then, Emo had another fireball in his hand. Wang Xian controlled his shaking and said, Don't, we tricked that girl from another city. Originally, she came to be my head slut. I didn't think. Wang Xian didn't need to say the rest, and Emo already guessed it. That girl was probably tricked here from another city to be sold here as a prostitute. He shook his head and turned Wang Xian to ash with a raise of his hand. When Emo had walked out of the room, Tang Beiwei had regained her composure, but her face was still pale. She had pulled the plug of the TV, but her clothes were still ripped. Even though she used her hands, she still couldn't cover it. Emo took out a shirt of his and passed it to her. Put that on and we can talk outside. The girl quickly put on the clothes and didn't even notice where the clothes came from. She just said to Emo gratefully, Thank you for just then. Emo waved his hand. Go out first. But outside? Although Tang Beiwei didn't know what Emo did to the 3 inside, there were still a lot of people outside. Emo smiled. Don't talk, just stay by my side. Then, Emo used invisibility, cloaking him and Tang Beiwei. He walked out of the room and closed the door. Tang Beiwei didn't know she was invisible but looked at the passing by people. No one seemed to notice them, and they just waltzed out of the bar. Then, Emo took off the invisibility and asked, What happened just then? Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and said, I have something important to tell you. Take me to a faraway place? Emo frowned his brows. He had never seen Tang Beiwei before, so where did this important thing come from? He immediately shook his head and said, No need, I still have things to do. You're out of danger, leave quickly. Seeing that Emo was going to go, Tang Beiwei was a bit worried. She wanted to tell Emo about Wei Yongqian trying to harm him, but at this moment, her phone rang again. It's you, Tang Beiwei said hatefully. Wei Yongqian's plain voice sounded. Your mother is doing a pre-surgical checkup. I believe you should understand. I didn't tell Wang Xian about this, because he's just a lackey, it's impossible for him to act. So it had to be real. Plus, if he couldn't beat Emo, he would spoil our plan, but we wouldn't let Wang Xian do anything to you. If Emo didn't go in past a certain time, our men would go, and so don't blame me. Wei Yongqian seemed to know Tang Beiwei would succumb, and his voice was always so calm. Wei Yongqian, I'm not doing it. I will earn money for my mother myself, animal. Tang Beiwei was about to hang up. Wei Yongqian dazed. He didn't expect Tang Beiwei to call it quits just when they were about to succeed. He quickly said, The doctors checked and said if your mother didn't do surgery now, she wouldn't even last a week. Your mother isn't far. If you don't believe me, I can give the phone to her and let her talk. Plus, do you think you can amass 300K for the surgery in a week? Stop dreaming, you have succeeded half now. You just need to bring him to the place on the 27th, and your mother would be saved. Think about it. If you regret it, your mother will leave the surgical table immediately. Tang Beiwei helplessly put down the phone and looked at Emo, who was not far away. She couldn't calm down at all. If she regretted, she would be giving away her mother's life. Just thinking about her mother's thin like stick body gave her pain. Her mother was like that due to her. How could she kill her mother's last hope for survival? Emo looked at Tang Beiwei. This girl was strange. He saved her, but she didn't leave and still stayed here being indecisive. Tang Beiwei hesitated for a long time. Her love for her mother took the upper hand. She had a good impression to Emo. If possible, she would give her first time to him to repay him saving her life. Plus, she believed Emo wouldn't be in danger even if she brought Emo there. She didn't believe Wei Yongqian dared to kill. Tang Beiwei chased up to Yemo and worriedly said, "Brother, thank you for saving me, but I'm still a little scared, and I don't have money on me, not even money for a ticket." Yemo studied Tang Beiwei. She did look not very wealthy and her phone was very old-styled too. He really didn't know why she came here. "I don't have money either, I can't help you with this." Yemo shook his head. He really didn't have money, he forgot to search their pockets before. Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo's clothes, it wasn't bad. How could he not have money? But since she made up her mind, she couldn't go back again. She quickly said, "Big brother, I need to go to my grandma. As long as I go to her place, I will have money to go back." Yemo looked at Tang Beiwei. He had this constant feeling that this girl was acting weird. She had escaped death, but why did she keep sticking to him? Plus she had those weird eyes before. Seeing Yemo not talk, Tang Beiwei's pale face was a little red. She quickly said, "Big brother, sorry, I really don't know anyone here. You saved me, I should leave immediately, but I..." Then, Tang Beiwei's eyes reddened, she really wanted to cry. Someone saved her, but she was trying to trick him. Although she didn't want to harm Yemo, she also couldn't face her helpless mother. She felt it was so hard. If she was just by herself, she wouldn't follow Yemo so shamelessly. "Stop." Yemo saw Tang Beiwei was about to cry and quickly told her to stop. He was scared of women's tears the most. After a while he said, "What's your name? Where is your grandma?" Tang Beiwei wiped her eyes before helplessly saying, "I'm Tang Beiwei, my grandma is in Wuliang Mountain." "Big brother, I don't know your name yet." "Wuliang Mountain?" Yemo repeated and asked. "I'm Yemo, is your grandma doing business at the tourist places at Wuliang Mountain?" Tang Beiwei shook her head. "No, brother Yi, the place she's living at is a bit far off." Yemo didn't ask and said, "I don't have money recently either, but follow me first. I'll see if I can earn some money and give you some. I don't have time to go find your grandma with you. I'm really busy, I can't help you with this." Yemo was kind-hearted and had a good impression of this very soft and good-looking Tang Beiwei, but he really couldn't pull out time to go with her to find her grandma. Yemo brought Tang Beiwei to a hotel and walked to the reception and said, "Can you get me another room? I'll give you the bond tomorrow." Yemo brought Tang Beiwei to a hotel and walked to the reception and said, "Can you get me another room? I'll give you the bond tomorrow." The girl looked at Yemo and then looked at Tang Beiwei behind him. She talked as though she had never seen Yemo before. "Sorry, sir, you need to pay if you wish to book another room." Yemo didn't think the reception would be so stingy. He had been living here for 4 days already. Just when Yemo wanted to talk, he was pulled by Tang Beiwei. "Brother Yi, I'll share a room with you tonight, don't spend more money." Yemo thought so too. He was going to be making runes at night, so he wouldn't be sleeping anyways. He could leave the bed to Tang Beiwei. Now that Tang Beiwei said this, he didn't want to waste time talking to the reception and nodded. "In that case, let's go up first." Tang Beiwei followed to Yemo's room and saw it was a single bedroom. She felt this sorrow for some reason. Although she was very grateful to Yemo and had decided to give her first time to him to compensate for tricking him when he saved her, but when she was really about to face it, she couldn't accept it. But since Yemo could bring her to this room, that meant he had that thought too. If he didn't, why did he bring a single girl into a single room? When Tang Beiwei was taking a shower, Yemo organized the materials. There were still 20 sets. Yemo took out the phone and hesitated a long time. He still couldn't decide if he was going to call Su Jing when. He sighed and thought he should wait till tomorrow. There were 20 left, and it was enough for the night. After a while, Yemo put the phone away and looked at Tang Beiwei, who had finished her shower. She used the towel to wrap her body, but her long white legs still showed. She had a very slim figure, rendering this stunning sense of enticement. However, Yemo didn't have any feelings at all. It was as though Tang Beiwei wasn't as seductive as Jingxi. He looked curiously at Tang Beiwei and said, "You finished the shower, then go and sleep on the bed." Yemo thought she was going to thank him first, but she just agreed and went to the bed. Yemo shook his head. She really wasn't going to act polite. Tang Beiwei slept on the bed with her heart thumping. She didn't know when Yemo would come. She felt shaky. She wanted Yemo to come early, and after it was done, she would feel less guilty. Tang Beiwei's heart was nervous and conflicted, plus she had been quite stressed lately, so she fell asleep unknowingly. Seeing Tang Beiwei had fallen asleep, Yemo started to make runes again. Although he tried to be careful and not waste materials. A night was over and he only made 7 from 20 sets of materials. The success rate was still less than a third. He rested for a long while before sighing. He packed up the things and took a shower. It was almost dawn, and he knew he had to borrow money. If he didn't, it was impossible to beat Jingxi with the 30 runes he made. Plus, there might be more than one with Jingxi's strength. Tang Beiwei slept very comfortably. She opened her eyes but didn't see anyone beside her. Yemo didn't sleep on the bed last night. She sat up subconsciously and realized her clothes were fine, untouched. The blanket slid down, and she quickly pulled. Yemo saw Tang Beiwei sit up. He came over and said, "I need to go out for a bit, don't run around after you get up. Wait till I get some money." Yemo knew that he killed 3 people last night, and although no one knew what happened last night, if they didn't appear for so long, it would arouse suspicion. "You didn't sleep on the bed last night?" Tang Beiwei asked in surprise. Yemo's words made her feel warm and more guilty. "No, I was doing things last night," Yemo casually said. "Huh?" Tang Beiwei was worried. Yemo didn't take her last night. It was going to be daylight soon. What should she do? Today was the 25th already. "Brother Yi, can you come up and stay with me for a bit?" Tang Beiwei said such embarrassing words for the first time. She felt her body shake heavily. Yemo looked strangely at Tang Beiwei and thought, did he look wrong? What else could it be for a girl to ask a man to sleep with her? Seeing Yemo shake his head, Tang Beiwei was worried and pulled his hand. "Sorry, Brother Yi, this is my first time, I want to give it to you." After saying this, she was full of sweat, and her face was indescribably red. She would have never thought she would say something so shameless. However, she had no experience in seducing men, and could only express it so straightforwardly. Yemo grabbed her wrist. Tang Beiwei felt relieved. He was finally going to take it. She didn't know if she was disappointed or happy. There were all sorts of feelings, but she didn't dare to look at Yemo. Yemo noticed the bracelet on Tang Beiwei's wrist. It was the exact same one his sister gave him. What was this? Tang Beiwei's hand was grabbed by Yemo, but she didn't see him do anything for a long while. The rudiness retreated, and she looked up strangely at Yemo. "Brother Yi," Tang Beiwei called out quietly. Her impression of Yemo was getting better and better. If it was a normal person, he probably would have done something already. She was the prettiest girl in her school, but Yemo still didn't do anything. Yemo sighed. "Tang Beiwei, can you tell me where you got your bracelet from?" "Huh?" She knew now that Yemo grabbed her wrist because he was looking at her bracelet. This was the thing left behind by her mother to recognize her brother. Did he like it? If he did, she would give it to him. Thinking about this, Tang Beiwei took it off and gave it to Yemo. "My mum gave this to me not long ago. Brother Yi, you saved me, you don't want me, but if you like this bracelet, then take it." Yemo took the bracelet and looked at it carefully. It was indeed the same as his bracelet. The jade and imprints were the same, there was no difference. He passed the bracelet to Tang Beiwei and smiled. "Sleep for a while more, I'm not trying to take your bracelet, just having a look." Tang Beiwei took the bracelet in confusion. She didn't understand what Yemo meant. Did he really have no intentions for her? Was she not good looking enough for him? If there was anything Tang Beiwei had to be proud of, it was her looks. She never thought she looked worse than anyone. Yemo picked up the phone and was about to call Yiling about the bracelet, but he realized his phone was out of battery, so he put it aside to charge. Then, he walked to Tang Beiwei's bedside and said, Can you lend me your phone? Huh? Tang Beiwei saw Yemo walk over and her heart started thumping again. However, she didn't expect Yemo to be just borrowing her phone as she quickly said, "Okay, here." Then, she passed the phone beside her pillow to Yemo. Yemo remembered Yiling's number, and he dialed it. However, the info that appeared made Yemo freeze. After he dialed the number, the words Yemo's girlfriend came up. Tang Beiwei knew Yiling? No, since she wrote Yemo's girlfriend, it meant that she had heard of him, but she asked him for his name before. This girl was acting. Yemo looked coldly at Tang Beiwei and hung up for now. Tang Beiwei was looking at Yemo while thinking. But now, Yemo suddenly looked at her, and his eyes were very cold. She shivered subconsciously. Yemo's eyes were too cold. From yesterday till now, she had never seen such cold eyes from Yemo. Yemo walked up to Tang Beiwei's bed and pulled away her blanket, revealing the wonderful body of hers that only had lingerie on. However, Yemo acted as though he didn't see it. He grabbed her up and walked to the window and coldly said, "This is the 6th floor. If you say one lie, I will throw you down immediately. Tell me, why did you find me intentionally? What is it?" Tang Beiwei still didn't wake up from the shock, but when Yemo asked her, she realized it. She looked at herself just wearing lingerie on, but was carried by Yemo's hand. She was very embarrassed. Her eyes went red and tears gushed out once again. Yemo didn't seem to see it, and coldly said once again, "You have 1 minute. If you don't talk, then don't blame me. Throw me down, I." Tang Beiwei had this sudden sense of being wrong. Instead of living like this, she might as well die. When her mother died, she could stay with her mother. Why live in the world and be abused? Yemo looked at Tang Beiwei in surprise. She didn't even fear death. Was there a crueler plan? Yiling was his sister, and that was his bottom line. They dared to touch her, then don't blame him. No matter what, he had to investigate this clear. He threw Tang Beiwei on the bed once again and coldly said, "Tell me everything. What do you want with me and who sent you?" Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and sat on the ground. She didn't care about how she looked but just didn't say a word. She hated Yemo. Her original good impression of Yemo was gone immediately. This person was so barbaric, not caring she was a girl at all, and just carried her by the neck. No wonder someone was targeting him. Served him right. Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and sat on the ground. She didn't care about how she looked but just didn't say a word. She hated Yemo. Her original good impression of Yemo was gone immediately. This person was so barbaric, not caring she was a girl at all, and just carried her by the neck. No wonder someone was targeting him. Served him right. Yemo sneered. The only reason he didn't use forceful interrogation was because she had a bracelet. "I don't know why you have my sister's number saved or why you purposely came close to me. I just know that I won't let the person live no matter who tries to touch my sister. I admit your acting skills are quite good, you even tricked even me. I'll give you another minute. If you don't talk, then don't blame me for using force." Yemo's voice was getting colder and colder. Tang Beiwei looked up in surprise. "Who did you say is your sister? When do I know your sister?" Just when Yemo wanted to rage, he saw Tang Beiwei didn't seem to be lying, so he sneered and said, "The one saved as Yemo's girlfriend on your phone is my sister. Not only did you record my sister's number, but you also tried to get close to me. What do you want?" Tang Beiwei was caught off guard. She subconsciously wanted to stand up but immediately realized her situation and quickly covered herself with the blanket. She frowned and didn't talk. Yemo stared deadly at Tang Beiwei. If she tried to play any tricks, he would start using forceful interrogation. Tang Beiwei didn't know why Wei Yongqian said Yemo's sister was his girlfriend. However, no matter what, Tang Beiwei knew Wei Yongqian was tricking her. From today till now, he had been lying to her the whole time. Tang Beiwei had decided to spill everything. When she looked up, she saw Yemo giving her a deadly stare. Tang Beiwei subconsciously covered her chest. Yemo sneered. "You don't need to worry, I'm not interested in you, don't need to keep acting." Tang Beiwei's face grew more pale but didn't rebuke Yemo's words, she rubbed her eyes and said, "A few days ago, a person called Wei Yongqian found me and said you stole someone's girlfriend, and that person wants to teach you a lesson. So they told me to get close to you, even if I can't be your girlfriend, I needed to get close to you and best. Get in bed with me, right? You don't need to stutter, I didn't see you being shy before." Emo sneered. Tang Beiwei bit her lips till blood came out, but she didn't notice it at all. She continued, "Yes, then I'm to take you somewhere and that person would bring your girlfriend there too. Your girlfriend would call me, and I would tell her the place. Then, she would see me being intimate with you, and that way, your girlfriend could see who you really are, and then, I would get intimate with other men in front of you in order to make you take my life, right?" Yumo's voice was really cold, making Tang Beiwei shiver. Tang Beiwei quickly shook her head. "No, they said they would beat you up at most and injure you. They want to make you feel despair, make your girlfriend feel despair to you." Tang Beiwei spoke till now and didn't even believe it herself. Would these people really do that? Wei Yongqian had lied to her a few times already. Could his words be trusted? Humph. Emo was sure that these people not only wanted his life but also Yiling's too. Perhaps they would rape her in front of him to make him lose his marbles. Emo sneered. "I wonder how much your first time was sold for?" "Oh, right, perhaps it's not your first time. Who knows how many times you have been sold?" Because Yiling's life was on the line, it was the first time Emo spoke so harshly to a girl. Tang Beiwei opened her mouth and spat out blood. Her face was pale like paper, but she bit her teeth, not wanting to say a word. She had tricked him already, so he could do whatever he wanted to her. She could only blame herself for having such a harsh life. Anyone could step on her dignity and life. She had no parents anyways. Although she tricked him too, she was taking the most precious things she had to compensate him. Was this not enough? Emo saw that Tang Beiwei spat out blood, being angered by him so much, and couldn't bother to look at her. Although she was pitiful, she was more detestable. Emo picked up the phone and called Yiling. "Brother, why did you call? I haven't been able to contact you." Yiling's crisp voice sounded, making Emo feel relieved. I'll be coming back soon. Has someone been calling you recently to come out?" Emo asked immediately. Yiling's voice quickly sounded. "No, what's wrong?" "Good, listen, if I want to find you, I will call you myself. If someone else calls you, don't believe them, do you understand? And my phone won't be shut recently, call me immediately if something happens." Emo warned. Yiling knew that she didn't know about a lot of Emo's things and worriedly asked, "I understand, are you alright, brother?" "I'm fine. I need to ask you one thing. Can you tell me more specifically about the bracelet you gave me last time?" Yiling didn't know why Emo suddenly asked about this. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "Second brother gave this to you saying your mother left it behind. I don't know the specifics." Emo hung up the phone in disappointment. He expected this answer, but he was still disappointed. To be honest, he came from a different world, so he didn't really care about the bracelet that much. But today, he saw the same bracelet, and that reminded him of this again. Emo walked in front of Tang Beiwei and looked at the blood she spat as well as her pale face. He suddenly thought, had he been too harsh? "Draw out the place where Yongqian told you to bring me to." Then Emo gave Tang Beiwei pen and paper. Tang Beiwei was like a doll and didn't move at all. Emo sneered. "I know, even if you don't say, is it at a distant place? Tricking my sister and I there and then kill us? You're very smart. Do you think these people would let you go after killing us? You're too naive. I don't know what they promise you, but I can surely tell you, stop dreaming." Tang Beiwei's dead eyes seemed to move a little. She looked up subconsciously and numbly said to Emo, "I never wanted to kill you nor harm your sister. Those people just want to take revenge on you, kill." Tang Beiwei had a jeer on her face but didn't say anything. It was a legal society now. Could they kill easily? Emo was thinking, who wanted to trick him there? The Song family or someone else? The Song family had the guts? Emo sneered. If one didn't kill the snake, he would be harmed by it. Regardless of whether it was the Song family, He needed to go to Beijing and end this. He wasn't afraid of them, but what about the people he cared about? But why did these people choose Tang Beiwei? He took a good look at her face. Although her face was numb and swollen, he saw that she was a girl that was as pretty as Su Jingwen. It was just that she didn't put on any makeup. She didn't even draw her brows, but there was a sense of natural beauty. Yemo took back his eyes, thinking these people were really sinister. He didn't know where they found her, but since Yiling was fine and he noticed this plan, his anger towards Tang Beiwei was gradually gone. He stood up and looked at Tang Beiwei and said, "Whether you believe it or not, these people tricked me there to kill me, so you owe me. If you still have conscience, then tell me. What did they promise you? And where did your bracelet come from?" Tang Beiwei was sure from Yemo's tone that what he said was true. Those people really wanted to kill him. Although Yemo was so vicious with his words just then, Tang Beiwei felt Yemo was more trustworthy than Wei Yongqian. Perhaps it was because Yemo cared about his sister too much. When could she have a brother who cared about her like that? Her sister was really fortunate having a brother that cared about her so much. Then, Tang Beiwei thought about herself. She was a wild child. Other than a mother she lived with, no one else cared about her. All the people that tried to get close to her had all sorts of motives. They either lusted after her beauty or had sinister plans. Thinking about this, she couldn't help but shed tears. Although she warned herself again and again that she couldn't shed tears in front of this mean person even if she died, but she couldn't help the feeling of sadness from sprawling up. Yemo didn't force her again. He just coldly stood there, waiting for her to reply. Although he knew Tang Beiwei must have been tricked, he didn't sympathize her at all. "Because my mum needs surgery, but I can't afford the money, so—" Tang Beiwei didn't continue. Yemo had understood and regretted using those vicious words to attack her just then. He should forgive a girl who sold herself for her mother no matter what the reason. Yemo's eyes eased up and his voice was no longer as cold as before. "Talk about that bracelet. My words were too serious before, sorry. However, you're sold already, how can you be tricked so easily? Seeing how you're desperate to save your mother, I won't hold it against you." Tang Beiwei looked up at Yemo in shock. She seemed to be astonished by Yemo's calm temperament. Ever since he knew he was tricked by her, his tone had been getting colder and colder. This was the first time he talked to her with such tone. She felt a sense of being wronged and wanted to cry, but she knew that no matter how she felt wrong, she shouldn't cry in front of strangers again. Tang Beiwei looked up at Yemo in shock. She seemed to be astonished by Yemo's calm temperament. Ever since he knew he was tricked by her, his tone had been getting colder and colder. This was the first time he talked to her with such tone. She felt a sense of being wronged and wanted to cry, but she knew that no matter how she felt wrong, she shouldn't cry in front of strangers again. Seeing Tang Beiwei cry more and more, Yemo frowned but didn't say anything. He was waiting. Although he really wanted to go now, Tang Beiwei still hadn't told him about the bracelet, and he didn't want to just leave like that. After a long while, Tang Beiwei calmed herself down and said, "The bracelet was given to me by my mother when she was really sick. She said I wasn't her biological daughter but was picked up from a temple 20 years ago. The bracelet was left behind before, and my mum said I was one of 2 children left there. Other than my mother, another couple took a child too. We would use these bracelets to recognize each other, so—" Yemo was suddenly shocked. If what Tang Beiwei said was real, then wouldn't the other child be him? Was he really picked up from the temple? He thought about the DNA test at the Yi family. That was actually real? His face suddenly paled. That meant that Tang Beiwei was his real sister, but Yiling wasn't. However, he just made her spit blood. Although his soul wasn't the original Yemo, he couldn't avoid the blood on him. Tang Beiwei didn't look up at Yemo and said, "Yemo, although I wanted to harm you, I didn't get the chance to. Since you don't want me, if you like this bracelet, then take it. Treat it as my compensation. To me, I have no kin other than my mom. After Mum leaves, there's no need for me to keep this bracelet." Her voice got quieter until it was almost unhearable. For the first time, Emo regretted what he did and said. Ever since he started cultivation, he had never regretted about anything. This time, he truly regretted. It was because Yi Ling was involved that he was so angry, and his words became harsh. Although he wasn't completely sure Tang Beiwei was his sister, Emo was now deeply regretful towards his vulgarness. Tang Beiwei looked down in melancholy but didn't notice Emo move at all. She subconsciously looked up at Emo. Yemo's face was very pale, perhaps even as pale as her. Yi! Tang Beiwei forgot about her situation and forgot about how the man in front of her was so rude to her. Emo took a long sigh and stared at Tang Beiwei for a long while. Tang Beiwei couldn't take Yemo's look and looked down again. She didn't know what Emo was going to do to her, she just didn't care anymore. Emo sat down, helped put a jacket on Tang Beiwei, and put his arm around her, bring her to rest on him. Tang Beiwei was shocked. What happened to Emo? He didn't seem to be right. Sorry, Beiwei, my words were too harsh, I apologize to you. Emo thought Tang Beiwei was living quite a harsh life and felt more uncomfortable. His eyes gradually became cruel. No matter who tricked Tang Beiwei over and harmed her like this, he would scatter their bone dusts everywhere. Then, Emo took a sudden shiver. Did that person know they were brothers and sister? If that was the case, this person was too cruel and scary. Luckily, Emo had his principal and had Luo Ying and Ning Qingshu in his heart. Otherwise, Emo didn't dare to think about the consequences. Emo's eyes grew colder. Such malevolent means. If it was really like this, he wouldn't be able to sleep unless this person was dead. There was such an animal in the world. Tang Beiwei felt surprised at Emo saying sorry for the second time. If the first time was casual, then this time, Tang Beiwei truly felt Yemo's apology. And, he changed to calling her Beiwei. She laid in Yemo's arms and had this feeling of not wanting move. If only someone protected her like this all the time, she wouldn't need to be bullied everywhere. Just when Tang Beiwei was thinking, she suddenly felt Yemo's body go cold. There was a killing intent from his bones. This made her shiver and suddenly leave Emo. Seeing Tang Beiwei look at him in terror, Emo knew he spilt his killing intent. He took it back and took a medical pill and gave it to her. Beiwei, eat this first, I'll help you strengthen your body. Tang Beiwei looked at the pill in surprise and thought for a while but still ate it. She didn't ask why. If Emo was going to do something to her, she would concede her fate. Then, Emo took out needles to unblock all the meridians that was blocked due to her extreme sadness. Then, he helped her strengthen her body with spirit chi. 2 hours later, he pulled out the needles with sweat all over his forehead. Tang Beiwei also realized her body seemed to be full of power. She was full-spirited and that depressing feeling in her heart was gone. She even felt very light and comfortable. She saw that many impurities have been squeezed out from her pores and seemed to have realized something. Then, she looked at Emo, who sat on the bed full of sweat and had a pale face. Although she didn't know what Emo did to her, she knew that Emo used a lot of strength to help her improve her body. Emo opened his eyes and said to Tang Beiwei, "Go take a shower first, I will talk to you later." Although she didn't understand what was happening, she went to take a shower quickly. Emo expended a lot of energy this time. Emo had never helped anyone do this before, even for Ning Qingshu. He did it this time for Tang Beiwei because he felt he owed her. Emo looked at the money he had left in the ring, barely tens of dollars. It seemed he couldn't avoid borrowing money. He didn't ask from Yiling because he knew she had no money now too. Tang Beiwei took a shower for almost an hour. When she came out, she had switched clothes but the shirt was still Yemo's. After she took a shower, she seemed to have had a complete makeover. Because Emo cleansed her body and meridians, she had this indescribable noble temperament on her. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she was also very shocked. She didn't know what Emo did for her, but it must be something amazing. And Emo didn't seem like an ordinary person too. Emo looked at Tang Beiwei and felt satisfied. Other than that sorrow that couldn't be washed away, she was completely different. What do you want to talk about with me? Tang Beiwei had regained her composure. She buried the sorrow in her heart deeply. She had decided to go back to Tandu immediately. If her mother really couldn't be cured, she would take her mum away and stay with her. She had done her best. Instead of being harassed everywhere, she might as well go back with her mother. Yemo took out a bracelet and said, I suspect we're brothers and sisters because I also have this bracelet. Tang Beiwei suddenly started to shake. She jumped up abruptly and took the bracelet from Yemo's hands and compared it to hers. It was a pair. Her red face became pale once again. Her hands were shaking, even her entire body was shaking. She didn't expect the kin she was supposed to find was the person torturing her. Before she knew who Yemo was, she could endure it. But now that she knew Yemo was probably her brother, she was about to collapse. She wanted a brother who loved her and spoiled her, but she couldn't accept it when the reality was in front of her. Tang Beiwei's face grew paler and paler. She suddenly took the bracelet and smashed it towards Yemo and dashed out of the door without saying a word. There was a sense of despair flashing across Yemo's eyes. From a soul perspective, he didn't have any connections to Tang Beiwei, but this blood relation thing couldn't be severed. Yemo chased out. He knew that Tang Beiwei must feel really bad now, but he didn't try to pull here. Perhaps after a while, she would feel better. Tang Beiwei's brain was full of chaos. Yemo was actually her brother. She would rather never found her brother than have Yemo as her brother. She almost did something unforgivable. If it wasn't that Yemo wasn't interested in her, she couldn't even imagine the consequences. Tang Beiwei kept running. She hated Yemo. If he had the bracelet, why didn't he take it out earlier? There were so many people in the world, why did it have to be Yemo? Tang Beiwei kept running forward tirelessly as though something ahead could set her free. Her brain was chaotic, she wasn't thinking. Yemo followed behind her worriedly. He knew that Tang Beiwei needed to release her feelings, and after she calmed down, she would be able to accept things. Yemo stopped. He saw Tang Beiwei go up the elevator. It was a glass elevator. When Yemo came, it was already going up. The numb look in her eyes shook Yemo's heart. Why did she go up the elevator? Soon, Yemo thought, was she going to jump off the building? He suddenly regretted not pulling her and let her run. The elevator was getting smaller and smaller, and Yemo scanned Tang Beiwei nervously with his spirit sense. Luckily, this building was only 70 meters tall, that was still in range of his spirit sense. Yemo was looking at her thinking if he should go up and bring her down. But suddenly, Tang Beiwei opened the window at the top floor and jumped. Seeing Tang Beiwei jump, he finally felt relieved. He jumped without hesitation, using a spirit chi wall to slow her descent before carrying her just before she landed. Before people could react, he left there. The moment Tang Beiwei jumped, she felt relieved. Everything was going to end. But when she woke up again, she found she was in Yemo's arms. She had a fright. Did her brother jump too? Beiwei, you're really dumb. Why did you jump? If I couldn't catch you, I wouldn't forgive myself. Yemo's tone was a little sad. He didn't know who was right and who was wrong. Tang Beiwei finally understood that Yemo caught her. That depression in her heart finally disappeared. The endless feeling of being wronged rushed up her heart, and she finally couldn't resist it anymore. She hugged Yemo and cried out. Yemo could understand how Tang Beiwei was feeling. A girl who was bullied and helpless faced huge pressure but couldn't find any help. She even had to do things against her conscience, but at last found her kin and thought that she almost did something unforgivable. Yemo could understand how Tang Beiwei was feeling. A girl who was bullied and helpless faced huge pressure but couldn't find any help. She even had to do things against her conscience, but at last found her kin and thought that she almost did something unforgivable. He put Tang Beiwei down and stayed silent for a while before saying, "We both didn't know at the time. Plus, even now, we can't be sure if we're related for sure. After all, we can't just tell by a bracelet, so don't worry. Even if we're really siblings, we don't need to worry even more, right? Although Tang Beiwei had calmed down now, Yemo still comforted her. Tang Beiwei stopped and looked at Yemo. Brother Yi, do you want to do a DNA test with me? She didn't know what to call Yemo. She felt brother was too sudden, but Yemo wasn't suitable either. Yemo smiled. No need, I don't like that. Real or fake, you will be my sister from now on. I will treat you just like Yiling. No matter what happens, just come find me. Remember, I'm your brother. Brother. Tang Beiwei seemed a little lost as she wiped her eyes. She wanted to say something but eventually didn't. Was her prayer finally heard by the heavens, and did she finally get a big brother? Yemo said he didn't want to do DNA check, but she felt a little lost. She didn't know whether to listen to him or not. Yemo waved his hand and said, I was planning to go Wuliang Mountain a few days later, but since these people keep testing me, if I don't do something, they'll think I'm scared of them. Beiwei, you don't need to go anywhere. Follow me and wait till I treat your mother. You know how to treat illness? Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo in surprise. She remembered Yemo using acupuncture in the morning. Before Yemo replied, a voice interrupted them. Didn't think I could meet you here, this is such a coincidence. Master, it's my luck. A Porsche stopped in front of Yemo. As the words sounded, a youth jumped out of the car. Yemo had seen this person before. It was the one who wanted to race him when he was with Jing Shi. This youth came and shook Yemo's hands. I'm Qiao Gang, I saw your car skills that day and I'm really amazed. Ugh, is this your girlfriend? She's really pretty. Qiao Gang was very lively. Before Yemo even spoke, he already treated Yemo as a racing friend. Yemo laughed and said, I'm Yemo, this is my sister Tang Beiwei, pleasure to meet you. Qiao Gang had this understanding look. His sister didn't have the same last name as him. Who would believe you? The sister nowadays were the sisters being F***ked. Hearing Yemo say that, he also laughed. So that's it, Brother Yi, I've been trying to find you last time seeing your car skills. I just heard your car went into Yuan, but I really didn't expect to see you here. I'm so lucky. I don't have much hobbies but I love cars. If you brother don't mind, I wish to invite you to food and talk about car skills. Yemo smiled and said, That's fine but I don't have time now, I still have important things to do, so let's talk about it next time. If it was a normal person, they would have realized that Yemo was not interested, but Qiao Gang just phased and said, No problem, I'm a little famous around here. If you need any help just ask me because I might need your help soon, this is my name card. Qiao Gang passed it to Yemo and rubbed his hands. Obviously, he was a little awkward about finding Yemo for help. Although he was very energetic and social, it was the first time they met properly, much less Yemo didn't really want to talk to him. His words were quite unsuitable, but he had seen Yemo's car skills. As long as Yemo got in the car, he wouldn't be able to chase up to him at all. Although he didn't know Yemo well, he knew he wasn't someone to be shocked by status and money. If that was possible, Yemo wouldn't have ignored him last time and drove off. After all, not much people drove limited edition cars like him. As such, in order to be friends with someone like Yemo, he needed to lower himself and treat him as equal. Yemo took the name card and looked. He knew that this person wasn't as straightforward as he appeared. This person knew this was the best way to communicate with him. This Qiao Gang wasn't an impulsive person but was quite cunning. He knew how to observe and even knew the best means to communicate with people. This was a little interesting, but Yemo didn't detest it. Perhaps he really liked cars and wanted to find someone to help him race. No need for help, I'm just missing some money and I'm going back to get some money. If I'm free I will call you. Yemo said that intentionally. He wanted to see how much of a help this Qiao Gang could give him. If it could solve his money difficulties, he didn't mind help Qiao Gang. However, if he was going to be stingy on this, then never mind. Hearing this, Qiao Gang's face was immediately filled with smile. Brother Yi, although it's not something to brag about, but I have some money to spend. How much do you need, Brother Yi? Yemo nodded and casually said, I wonder what you would like me to help with. Xiao Gang saw that his plan was seen through and rubbed his hands awkwardly. There's a race at the end of next month. It's very important to me, but I know with my skills I'm not likely to win if… Yemo already knew what it was. He waved his hand and asked, "What's the largest prize?" "The prize is only a little less than 1,000,000, but we all don't care about the prize money. Instead, something else is awarded with the prize money. Other than this, there are also some conflicts in interest, but…" Xiao Gang was stuttering. Obviously, some things weren't good to make clear. Yemo waved his hand and said, "Okay, I'll agree to help you get this first. I'm not interested in other things. I need 500k now. I will contact you by the end of the month." Hearing Yemo's words, Xiao Gang's face was full of joy and surprise. He quickly stuffed a card in Yemo's hands. "Password is all 8. There's around 600k in there. I'll be waiting for your call." Then, before Yemo could talk, he didn't even ask for Yemo's contact number and just went in the car. A rumble echoed out and the car soon disappeared. Xiao Gang clearly saw Yemo's car skills. The latter could use a normal Audi to leave his Porsche in the dust. This wasn't something normal people could do. Yemo shook his head thinking this Xiao Gang is really interesting. It was obvious that Xiao Gang was very rich. He didn't really care about that few hundred thousands, and he wouldn't worry that Yemo would go back on his words for that amount. Xiao Gang was afraid he would regret his actions, so he quickly drove away, decisively and astutely. Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo in a daze and said after a while, "Brother, you know this person?" Then she just realized that her brother sounded so natural. Yemo shook his head. "I don't know him." "Don't know, then why did he give so much money to you? And these people are usually powerful. If we annoy him, we… Plus, racing is dangerous and… Before Tang Beiwei finished, Yemo already knew what she was thinking. Tang Beiwei was living at the bottom and was scared of these young masters the most. Yemo caressed her head pitifully and said, "It's okay, if I'm not in need of money shortly, I wouldn't care about a few 100,000. Let's go eat first and talk later." Tang Beiwei helplessly shook her head. She worked so hard for 200k and was about to sell everything she had. But her brother just said one sentence and got 600k from someone he didn't even know. After eating with Tang Beiwei, he took out 200k to buy 1,000 sets of materials before helping Tang Beiwei buy some clothes. Then, he gave the remaining 300k to her. "I don't need money, I just want to go back and save my mother." Tang Beiwei rejected. Yemo stashed the card on her hand again and said, "You also saw that it's very easy for me to earn money, so take these first. Wait till tomorrow and call Wei Yongqian, just do according to the original plan." Tang Beiwei hesitantly took the card and said, "Brother, since you already know he's trying to harm you, why are you still taking the bait?" Yemo sneered and said to Tang Beiwei, "I know he's plotting against me, that's why I'm going, don't worry." Yemo and Tang Beiwei went back to the hotel but saw police out there investigating. He immediately knew that Wang Xianxian's incident was probably being investigated right now. He immediately called Xiao Gang. Although he didn't know who he was, a small thing like this shouldn't be hard for him. As soon as Xiao Gang picked up Yemo's call, he was very happy. To him, this was Yemo telling him how to contact him indirectly. He quickly told Yemo not to worry and no one would come investigate him. He didn't know that only permitted numbers could reach Yemo's phone. Other people wouldn't be able to reach it since his phone was a custom-made one given to him by Han Zixing. As soon as Xiao Gang picked up Yemo's call, he was very happy. To him, this was Yemo telling him how to contact him indirectly. He quickly told Yemo not to worry and no one would come investigate him. He didn't know that only permitted numbers could reach Yemo's phone. Other people wouldn't be able to reach it since his phone was a custom-made one given to him by Han Zixing. Yemo put down the phone and sighed. It was so easy with connections. As soon as he hung up, his phone sounded again. It was Yiling. Yiling's voice was anxious. Yemo told her to be careful in the morning and now, There was someone calling her to go Wulyung Mountain, saying Yemo was waiting for her there. Yemo was angry and told Yiling to say she wouldn't be able to leave now, and needed a few days if she received this call again. Then, he told her to not go places, even the school, and just stay at the Yi family mansion. Then, he called Zhang Ju. Instructor, I thought you were ditching us. You haven't contacted us for so long. Zhang Ju's voice was welcoming. He was very happy about Yemo's call. Yemo knew Zhang Ju thought of him as a real friend and felt warm at heart, but he seriously said, Please help look after my sister these few days. And tell Li Hu about the Song family and ask him to find a few people to keep eyes on them. If there's something, call me immediately. Don't worry, instructor, leave it to me. Zhang Ju's affirmative voice sounded. Yemo felt slightly relieved and then said, Brother Zhang, stop calling me instructor. If you think we're friends, then just call me Yemo. Haha, okay, I'll call you young Master Mo from now. Zhang Ju knew Yemo was treating him as a brother now and felt even happier. Yemo then called Li Hu. Although he already asked Zhang Ju, he was still afraid something would happen to Yiling. Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo make all those calls and quietly said after half a beat, Is Yiling your sister? You're really nice to her. She thought of Yemo being very harsh to her due to Yiling and felt sour. Yemo looked at Tang Beiwei and subconsciously smiled while patting her head. You're also my sister, I will treat you the same. Stop feeling bad over what happened in the morning, that is the first and last time. Just when she was about to tell Yemo not to always pat her head, she was a little lost in thought. She finally had a big brother too. She wouldn't need to live like before and be harassed everywhere. Thinking about this, her eyes got red. Everything was like a dream. Was this really a dream? She inched her arm and felt pain. It shouldn't be a dream. Let's go, what are you thinking about? Let's go in first. Yemo pulled. Now that we have money, I'll open another room. Tang Beiwei came to her senses. Yemo waved his hand. No need, you are still staying with me tonight. Huh? Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo in shock. They didn't know they were siblings yesterday, but now that they did, how can they still live together? Yemo pulled Tang Beiwei in, and when there was no one, he said, If you changed room tonight, people would know immediately, and my plan will fail. Oh. Tang Beiwei understood but still worriedly said, Brother, they have a lot of people and their plan is precise, you're just by yourself. Yemo had decided to have a carnage. It wasn't suitable to bring Tang Beiwei. No, I want to go as well. Although I'm a girl, I still know a few moves. I can help you. Tang Beiwei rejected. Yemo closed the door and felt warm. Kins were kins indeed. She was still plotting against him yesterday, but now, she was risking her life to help him. However, he wouldn't allow Tang Beiwei to go with him no matter what. Yemo knew that since these people had made up their mind, they were sure they could keep him. It meant that they spent a lot of effort, and if Tang Beiwei went, he wouldn't be able to take care of her. Beiwei, do you think other people could catch you when you fall from tens of meters high? Yemo didn't try to persuade her but used fact to ask. Tang Beiwei phased. Indeed, she still didn't remember how she was caught falling from that high. Anyone wouldn't be able to catch her? She looked at Yemo full of inquisition. Yemo told her straight up because Tang Beiwei was his sister. Because I've learned some Dao magic. Tang Beiwei was more and more confused. She was taught atheism from school, so how did Dao magic come out? Yemo knew it would only get more confusing the more he tried to explain, so he could only say, You don't need to know about it for now, you will understand in the future. Call Wei Yongqian first, and tell him you have succeeded. Ask him what to do next. I need to make some things, don't disturb me for now. Although Tang Beiwei didn't know what that Dao magic was, but she wasn't dumb. No normal person could catch someone falling from tens of meters high. Perhaps she would be a burden to Yemo if she really went. Yemo helped Tang Beiwei make a defensive necklace and started to make more charms. Because he had a lot of materials, Yemo didn't need to worry about wasting material. At 5 p.m., he had made 10 from 30 sets of materials. When Yemo stood up, Tang Beiwei was already waiting for him with 2 boxes of food. Beijing Song family? Dong Fangxi, Song Qiming, and Song Hai were still discussing things in a secret room. Other than Dong Fangxi, who was calm, both Song Qiming and Song Hai were worried. Yuling said she isn't free tomorrow nor the day after. What is this? Mr. Dongfang, didn't you say Yuling would go as soon as she got news of Emo? Song Qiming worriedly said. Song Hai interrupted. Could Yuling have reached Emo and knew that Emo didn't call her? Dongfang she was calm and said, Don't worry about that, Emo's phone is always off. No one can reach him. I've done my investigation. Song Hai suddenly said. How about we try calling him? Dongfang she shook his head. No need. When Yiling said she wasn't free, I already tried Yimo's phone. It can't be reached indeed. We don't need to doubt this. Plus, even if Yiling didn't go, our plan would prevail. How does that work? Song Qiming asked desperately. Dongfang she shook his head and said, You will know when the time is right. Tang Beiwei just called and told me that she had succeeded and asked us what to do next. I've decided to make the plan to tonight. Song Hai said with confusion. Mr. Dongfang, why bring it forward? Didn't we say tomorrow morning? Dongfang she waved his hand and said, There's already people guarding outside the auction today, so I was just waiting for Yiling to go. However, since she can't and said she didn't have time, we need to be more careful no matter what. Other than Yiling, everyone else is in position. As such, in order to prevent more accidents, we will move tonight. The main thing is Dong Fangxi, succeeded. Seeing Song Qiming and Song Hai look at him in confusion, Dong Fangxi sneered. Song family leader, you just need to watch the show. I promise you will get revenge in the most satisfying way. Song Hai and I can go to Wuliang Mountain immediately. I will let Yemo know the consequences of troubling me. Then Dong Fangxi looked at Song Qiming but was full of contempt. When this guy first heard about Tang Jin, he immediately acted as though he cared a lot. People would have thought he was coerced all those years ago, but it had been a few days now, and he seemed to have forgotten about it. He didn't even ask about Dong Fangxi. It could be seen he was a hypocrite, but this was best. Hearing Dong Fangxi's words, Song Qiming was immediately excited. He couldn't wait to see how Dong Fangxi was going to torture Yemo. However, he was also scared at the same time. It was too scary getting into enmity with this person. If it wasn't because his status was sensitive, even he wanted to see Yemo's face of despair. After food, Tang Beiwei packed things up and said, Brother, you didn't sleep last night. I'll sleep on the couch tonight so you can get some good rest. Yemo waved his hand. No need, I have important business tonight. You sleep at night, don't worry about me. Just when Tang Beiwei wanted to say something, her phone rang. She picked it up, then looked at Yemo and said, Brother, it's that Wei Yongqian. I called him in the afternoon, and now he's calling me. Yemo immediately said, Answer it first. No matter what he says, agree. Tang Beiwei nodded and accepted the call. Yemo walked beside her. Xiao Tang, a change of plan. The hirer wants to go tonight, so you need to bring Yemo to that place tonight. Tomorrow, you can go back to Tandu and stay with your mother. You don't need to worry about everything else. Wei Yingqian's voice sounded. Dongfan she replied. Okay, I will take him there immediately. And I know what to do. Yemo took out the defensive necklace and gave it to Tang Beiwei. Put this on you. After I go, close the windows shut and don't open the door until I come back. Yemo took out the defensive necklace and gave it to Tang Beiwei. Put this on you. After I go, close the windows shut and don't open the door until I come back. Since these people plotted to harm him, he couldn't be sure if they would harm Tang Beiwei too. It's such a pretty necklace, brother. Is this for me? Tang Beiwei loved the exquisite necklace. She never had any jewelry. This was her first. Yemo was a little guilty. Tang Beiwei didn't even have a proper jewelry on her, and used an old second-hand phone. He knew she had been living a hard life these recent years, but he didn't want to say. He just noted that he needed to care about this sister more. Thinking about this, Emo said, "You mustn't take this off. These are some charms I made. If someone comes in, just throw these at them. When you throw it out, you need to say Lin." Tang Beiwei looked at 10 palm-sized charms that Emo passed over and dazed for a while. Did her brother spend the entire afternoon making these? Was this the Dao magic he said? Seeing Tang Beiwei's confusion, Emo immediately said, "This is a fireball charm. Remember, throw it out and it will form a fireball to engulf the person. Don't try it casually." "Brother, this..." Tang Beiwei didn't know what to say. Emo waved his hand and said, "You just need to remember my words. I don't even have time to love you. How can I harm you? After I leave, you must wait till I come back." Emo repeatedly warned her, and Tang Beiwei also nodded seriously. She knew that she was wrong before. That way Yongqian definitely didn't just want to teach her brother a lesson. He really wanted to kill. She also understood that if they just wanted to teach her brother a lesson, they wouldn't spend this much money. Emo walked out of the room and closed the door. He knew these people were very sly and evil, so he didn't want Tang Beiwei to be in danger. He searched with his spirit sense carefully, and was sure that the monitoring people were quite far from here. But even so, he still used invisibility to leave the hotel. After walking out a long while, he then called a taxi towards the location Tang Beiwei told him. The reason he used invisibility was because he was afraid people would see only he came out. He needed to kill all of them before they had time to react. In fact, it would be best to take Tang Beiwei with him, but Emo was afraid the enemy would be too strong. And he didn't want Tang Beiwei to see him kill people. Wuliang Mountain was a sacred place for Buddhists, and Wuliang Mountain's Xishuang Temple was much bigger than many sacred temples. However, barely a few people knew about it. The reason was simple: it wasn't open to tourists and was hidden in the dangerous ranges of the mountain. The temple itself wasn't dangerous, but the location was. There was a big canyon before one could enter the temple, and in that canyon, there was a deep bottomless cliff. It could be said that it was the biggest obstacle to getting to the temple. But at this moment, there were no one stopping people from entering the temple because the biggest auction of the hidden sects was about to be held here, and this cliff had been connected by a huge metal chain bridge. No one knew how it was connected, however. At this moment, Dong Fangxi and 2 yellow-level masters were hiding in a discreet location in the canyon waiting for Yemo's arrival. Meanwhile, Songhai and a few Song family yellow-level warriors as well as Li Mingqiang were waiting at the 2 sides of the canyon. They were waiting for Tang Beiwei to bring Emo into that metal chain bridge and come back. If they couldn't, it meant that they already died. Other than Dong Fangxi and Li Mingqiang, other people were very focused. Dong Fangxi wasn't worried because he was confident. Li Mingqiang, on the other hand, was a black-level tertiary stage master. He didn't care about a mere Emo. Songhai opened his phone and checked before saying to Dong Fangxi, "Mr. Dongfang, a car is driving over here. It should be Emo and Tang Beiwei, but strangely, the people I stationed around the hotel didn't see the 2 leave. I don't know how they got on the car." Dong Fangxi's heart suddenly jumped. He thought of the 2 towns outside the desert, and how Emo could be invisible. He started getting a bad feeling, but his face didn't show it at all. "Songhai, the quality of your people needs improvement." Songhai nodded and said, "I'm just afraid Emo doesn't have a life to come back after entering the metal bridge. In that case, although we got our revenge, it will not be very satisfying." Dong Fangxi nodded. "Brother Song doesn't need to worry. This will definitely be a satisfying revenge. But you're right, after all, the 2 guarding there are too strong. It wouldn't be good if they beat him to death. I need to go communicate inside. The reason we can stay here was because I told them. Now I'll go tell them to leave Emo one last breath, it should be fine." Then Dong Fangxi ordered the 2 next to him to listen to Songhai. Then he said to Songhai, "I'll be very quick, you take command here for now." Although Songhai guessed Dong Fangxi was connected to the 2 from the hidden sects, he didn't think he could actually talk to them directly. He quite admired this and said, "Thank you, Mr. Dongfang, leave this place to me." Dongfang she left as soon as he spoke and was headed towards the metal chain bridge, but soon, he twisted and his body was blocked by trees. Dongfang she ran out a few hundred meters before hiding behind a rock and called, "What's the matter? Why is there no report after the target has come out?" Dongfang she's voice was worried. "Advisor, we've been using the telescope to monitor the door of the hotel constantly. We didn't see any target." Soon his men reported. Dongfang she knew things wasn't good. There must have been a mistake, but theoretically, his plans shouldn't have been exposed? What was this? Even Song Qiming didn't know about this, so it was pure coincidence that he knew about Tang Bei Wei and Yemo. However, how did Yemo know? Immediately send a few people into the target's room. If she's by herself, take her away immediately and leave Yu Yuan to the next location before contacting me. Dongfang she was very decisive. He didn't know which part of the plan failed, but since no one saw Yemo at the hotel, it meant he was suspicious or knew about the plan. That's why he hid. Regardless of whether the plan was a success or failure, he needed to run. He would call his men later. If both of them left the hotel, then he would make his next decision. If it was only Tang Bei Wei, then the plan has failed for sure. After Yemo left, Tang Bei Wei casually put the fireball charms on the table and took off that necklace, playing with it as though she couldn't let go of it. Although never had any jewelry, she had seen many of the celebrities' jewelry on TV and seen it at the shopping malls. She had never seen a jewelry prettier than the one her brother gave her. The pearls emitted a faint glow and rendered a sense of serenity. It was really pretty. What happened today was like a dream, and she wasn't completely awake now. She had a brother who was very nice to her, but when he didn't know she was his sister, he was really mean and scary. Was Yemo really her brother? He really had a lot of secrets. She saw him take things out from him, but his clothes were really thin, so where did he leave things? And he bought so many materials today, but she didn't know where he put them. Suddenly, there was a banging on the door. Tang Bei Wei was shocked. His brother said he would call her if he was going to come in. Who was knocking now? Tang Bei Wei immediately thought of Yemo's words and put the necklace on her and picked up the 10 charms and stared worriedly at the door. There was another fit of knocking. Tang Bei Wei summoned the courage, walked beside the door and asked, "Who is outside?" She didn't expect the knocking to suddenly stop after she asked. She immediately began to worry. Brother wasn't here. Was the charms he gave her effective? Although Dongfang she thought he probably was thinking too much, he would never take a risk on any small possibility. Last time at Sai Na, if he wasn't quick, he would have been dead already. So regardless if Yemo fell for it, he would retreat decisively. He had no business there regardless. Dongfang she took out the vibrating phone and answered the call. His men's report shocked him. He was only guessing, but he didn't really expect Tang Bei Wei to be still at the hotel. Dongfang she sweated and immediately told his men to take her away and wait for his call. Then, he turned off his phone and ran for his life towards the outside. He didn't dare to meet up with his men at the hotel. He didn't believe Yemo would leave Tang Bei Wei there after knowing his plan. He must have measures. The more he ran, the more he regretted. From now on, no matter what he did, he wouldn't come personally again. Although it was satisfying telling Yemo the truth in front of Yemo, and watch him die in rage, nothing was more important than his life. Another bang and the door was kicked open. A waitress who wanted to stop them was kicked away by the man outside and couldn't get up. Another bang and the door was kicked open. A waitress who wanted to stop them was kicked away by the man outside and couldn't get up. Tang Bei Wei saw the 3 men charge in and charged towards her the moment they entered. Tang Bei Wei's heart shook and took many steps back. The man in front had grabbed towards her. Obviously, he didn't see Tang Bei Wei as a threat at all. To him, Tang Bei Wei was just a goat ready to be slaughtered. Tang Bei Wei, in a fit of worry, threw a few charms at the man and yelled Lin repeatedly. Rumble, a ball of fire engulfed the man, but soon, the flame disappeared and there was just a small pile of ash flying around. Tang Beiwei was shocked and couldn't react at all. What was this? She didn't even feel any heat from that ball of flame, but the man who was surrounded by it disappeared. This was too strange. Was that fireball charm that strong? Wasn't this immortal magic? Who was her brother? She subconsciously looked at the remaining few charms in her hands. The two men behind stopped and looked at the flying ashes in shock. Their minds froze. Burning a person to ash? How could this be? However, they already saw it with their own eyes, so how could it be fake? The two came to their senses after many seconds and looked at the runes in her hands, not daring to take a step forward. They turned to run. Until they disappeared, Tang Beiwei finally realized that the fireballs were real and also scarily strong. That temperature was enough to turn people to ash in an instant. Tang Beiwei looked at the door that was kicked to pieces and knew there was no point staying here anymore. She immediately left the hotel and looked at the 7 remaining charms in her hands, thinking that with that, she could go help Yemo. She quickly called a taxi to where Yemo was going. The scene wasn't bloody before, so Tang Beiwei didn't think much of it, but now that she sat on the car and thought a person burnt to ash, she couldn't help but to feel disgusted. "Are you car sick?" the driver asked. A bit." Tang Beiwei made the driver stop as she vomited. Yemo got off the car when it couldn't go further. He then went into the forest from the side of the path Tang Beiwei pointed. Yemo's speed was very fast, the same as a car. It was just half an hour, and he saw a long canyon just like Tang Beiwei said. Yemo entered immediately and spread out his spirit sense at the same time. Song Hai, from a distance, saw one person entering the canyon. He felt something was wrong and looked at Li Mingqiang and said, "Why is there only one person? Did he notice something so he came by himself? You two go ahead and see." Song Hai's last sentence was to the 2 men Dongfang she brought. After the 2 men left, Li Mingqiang sneered. "I knew that Dongfang she wasn't reliable. I would believe the hidden sect people would let him set up ambush here, but I don't believe he can talk to them directly." Song Hai suddenly stood up. "Predecessorly, I think this thing may really be what you said. What should we do now?" Li Mingqiang sneered. "I don't believe that Yemo has 3 heads and 6 arms. Regardless of whether he dares to step on the metal chain bridge, I won't be afraid of him. Without Dongfang Shi, can I not avenge my disciple? There's only 8 people, this is disappointing. If you want to take your revenge, then come." As soon as Li Mingqiang spoke, Yemo's voice sounded out. Song Hai's face immediately became pale. He didn't think Yemo could find them and not go on to the metal chain bridge first. They were hiding on the side of the canyon, so how did Yemo find them? But soon, he reacted and said, "Surround him, predecessorly, keep him there and the rest attack him together." The reason Song Hai said this was because he knew if he ordered to retreat, he would be the first to die. The rest of the people were all much stronger than him. Everyone surrounded Yemo. Yemo looked at Song Hai, who was slowly retreating, and sneered. "If you dare to take half a step back, I will kill you first." Song Hai stopped his steps. He didn't know why, but he didn't dare to retreat a bit at all. "Tell me your names." Yemo scanned them. His tone was cold. Li Mingqiang sneered and said, "I'm Li Mingqiang, little bastard, just because you learned some martial arts, you dare to be so cocky and kill my disciple Huqiu. I will sacrifice your head to him. You will pay for your insolence." Yemo's eyes immediately went cold. Li Mingqiang was Huqiu's master, so he immediately knew it was the Song family. His guess was right. The Song family was really bold. Not only bold, they even thought of such an evil way of revenge. In Yemo's heart now, the Song family was already a pile of dead bones. In that case, die. Yemo casually took out Bienpo's long sword and slashed towards them. He also learnt this from Bienpo. If Bienpo knew that not only was his weapon taken by Yemo but so was his moves after his death, would he crawl out from the ground and cry? Other than Li Mingqiang noticing Yemo suddenly had a sword in his hand, no one else saw the sword. They only saw a ray of white light. Li Mingqiang was also dazed a bit. He clearly saw Yemo was barehanded, so how did he suddenly have a long sword? PSH, there were blood spilling sound everywhere. Song Hai realized the 4 yellow-level warriors had become bodies under Yemo's sword light. They couldn't even defend themselves. Although Yemo's attack was a sudden one, he still killed 4 with it. This scared Song Hai so much that his legs started to shake. He really didn't expect Yemo to be this strong. It seemed Dong Fang she didn't overestimate him, but instead underestimated him. Song Hai wanted to escape, but his legs shook so much that he couldn't even walk. Li Mingqiang saw Yemo kill 4 with 1 slash and knew he underestimated Yemo. He was definitely stronger than him. Thinking about this, he didn't dare to drift off with his mind. He took out the whip from his waist and surrounded Yemo with the other 2 yellow-level peak stage fighters. Li Mingqiang's whip shook, becoming a series of whip shadows surrounding Yemo. The 2 yellow-level masters behind Yemo also attacked Yemo with their curved swords without hesitation. Although Li Mingqiang's whip was countless grades better than that Hu Qiu, it was still a far cry from Taoist Xian. Yemo didn't even use wind blade and just brought up his sword. Strike, 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 he slashed out many times. His chi was plenty, and had a long sword in his hand, so was so much easier than when he fought Taoist Xian. Li Mingqiang actually blocked 6 strikes from Yemo before there was the sound of his whip breaking. Yemo then broke another curved sword, slicing one of the men Dongfang she brought in half. Fresh blood spewed out, and Yemo took a few steps back to prevent the blood from dripping on his body. Seeing this bloody scene, Song Hai's leg curved. He couldn't resist anymore and vomited. He had killed people and interrogated people, but he had never seen such a bloody scene. Luckily, Yemo didn't bring Tang Beiwei here. He stared coldly at Li Mingqiang, who was a little stunned. There was full of coldness and killing intent in his eyes. Li Mingqiang looked at the half of a whip he had in his hands. He didn't have the composure he had initially. Although Yemo killed 4 yellow levels at the start, he felt he could also barely do it. But now, he felt he couldn't defeat Yemo at all. This Yemo was too strong, and Li Mingqiang felt regret for the first time. When Yemo killed the first 4, he sliced his sword across their throat, and the scene wasn't so bloody, but now, one was cut in half by him. The remaining yellow-level master looked at his bloodied companion with a pale face. After half a beat, he suddenly threw away his curved sword and turned to run. Yemo didn't even look and just casually swiped a wind blade at him. The man's legs were immediately sliced off and convulsed non-stop on the ground. "If you can let me go, Li Mingqiang was scared. He had never seen someone as strong as Yemo. He had lost the will to fight. Yemo sneered. No matter how Li Mingqiang begged for mercy, he never planned on letting them go. Before Li Mingqiang finished his sentence, Yemo's sword sliced again, and Li Mingqiang's voice suddenly stopped. He was decapitated. The yellow-level fighter who had his legs cut off kept convulsing. He looked up and saw Yemo cut off Li Mingqiang's head. Under such great fear, he actually took out his knife and stabbed it into his heart. The yellow-level fighter who had his legs cut off kept convulsing. He looked up and saw Yemo cut off Li Mingqiang's head. Under such great fear, he actually took out his knife and stabbed it into his heart. Yemo didn't bother with him and just stared coldly at Song Hai as he walked slowly towards him. Song Hai's face became bloodless. He was full of regrets. He regretted coming with Dong Fangxi. He even regretted not persuading the leader to not mess with Yemo, but now, it was all over. Yemo wasn't a person, he was a demon. Looking at the bloodied scene, he couldn't resist the waves of shock in his heart. Just how many people has he killed? "Don't kill me, I'll tell you everything." Seeing Yemo walk over, Song Hai's tone was of extreme terror. If he had another option, he would rather leave the Song family and hide than to go against Yemo. "No need, I will make you speak the truth." Then Yemo tapped on Song Hai's forehead. Song Hai's manner immediately became soulless and dumb. Then Yemo coldly said, Tell me everything about the Song family's plan. Yes. Song Hai didn't struggle at all. After the taxi drove to the foot of Wuliang Mountain and a bit in, no matter how Tang Beiwei requested, the taxi driver wasn't willing to drive 1 meter further. Tang Beiwei knew that the driver was probably scared since it was night. But luckily it was probably about half an hour walk ahead. Tang Beiwei didn't force the driver, got off the car and ran into the mountains. The driver didn't know what a girl was doing this late in a barren place like the Wuliang Mountain, but this wasn't something he could be concerned with. He quickly turned around and left with his greatest speed. 40 minutes later, Tang Beiwei came up from the mountain roads breathing heavily. She went into the side of the forest. After running into the forest, the silence of the night made her scared. The feral cats and nocturnal birds' cries scared her. She didn't dare to stay and walked faster and faster. However, she didn't have Yumo's capabilities and fell over many times after only walking a few 100 meters. Crack! There was the sound of a branch breaking. Tang Beiwei stopped subconsciously. Under the faint moonlight, a black shadow ran over. Tang Beiwei's skin was tingling. There was a black shadow in the forest at night? She was so scared she didn't dare to move, but the black shadow stopped 5 or 6 meters in front of her. It was a humanoid figure, very skinny and had a goatee. He seemed very out of shape. There was someone up there this late. However, she looked on the ground and saw a shadow. Since there was a shadow, it meant it was a person, not a ghost. Tang Beiwei calmed down a little and stared at the shadow but didn't talk. Dong Fangshi was about to reach the mountain roads, but he actually saw a girl this late in the woods. He was indeed frightened quite a bit when he saw Tang Beiwei, but he immediately recognized her. It was Tang Beiwei. Dong Fangshi rejoiced. Yemo, that bastard almost made him die. He finally ran and survived. Today, he was finally able to take something back. Even though Tang Beiwei was a woman, her ability to make it here from the hotel meant that she had a few tricks. Dong Fangshi wouldn't be careless facing against someone like her. He didn't even think and pulled out the gun and fired twice at her. He didn't want to kill her immediately. He will torture her to death and let Yemo know what happened to her. Tang Beiwei saw Dong Fangshi and took a breath of relief upon realizing he wasn't a ghost. She was confused why this person was running in the mountains this late at night, but suddenly, Dong Fangshi fired twice at her. Tang Beiwei didn't even have time to react and saw a faint yellow barrier erect in front of her. But immediately, the barrier broke. Just when Tang Beiwei wanted to see what happened, there was another barrier. 5 or 6 broke before 2 bullets fell in front of her. Tang Beiwei finally realized at this moment that the person opened fire. She didn't have time to think how the bullet didn't hit her. She just subconsciously grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it. Dong Fangshi fired twice and knew Tang Beiwei was meat in his hands, but he didn't expect the 2 shots to miss. When he reacted, Tang Beiwei's stone was coming over. Smash! It hit right on Dong Fangshi's face. Dong Fangshi clearly heard his nose break. His eyes were blurred as he raised his gun and fired again while covering his face with his hand. The 3rd shot didn't affect Tang Beiwei at all. However, Tang Beiwei thought of the light before and it came from her necklace. She looked down and saw the glow was dimmer. It wasn't as pretty as when Yemo gave it to her. Tang Beiwei was extremely angry and threw another 2 rocks at Dong Fangshi. At this moment, she had completely forgotten she had fireball charms. She was just angry this man broke her necklace. One hit his forehead, and another hit his arm. Dong Fangshi yelled and felt viscous blood flow down. The hand holding the gun was hit and the gun flew onto the ground uncontrollably. Tang Beiwei looked at Dong Fangshi, who squatted on the ground and kicked onto his head. The skinny Dong Fangshi was kicked over and struggled to get up. Tang Beiwei picked up the gun and now remembered she had fireball charms. She took out one but shook her head. If she used that, this guy was already a goner. As such, she didn't use one and just beat him down. This way, she managed to save a fireball charm. She felt her necklace again. Tang Beiwei's heart was bleeding. Her brother finally gave her a good necklace, and it was ruined like this by the bastard. so brother's necklace could protect her. Otherwise, Tang Beiwei thought of the 2 gunshots and didn't dare to think the consequences. This guy was too bad, she must not let him go. She didn't even know him, and he was going to kill her. Tang Beiwei picked up the gun and aimed it at Dongfan. She ready to fire. Tang Beiwei never shot a gun before, but she knew it was easy. She only had to pull the trigger. Bang! Tang Beiwei realized her shot went wide. At this moment, Dongfang she flipped over and sat up. He also woke up under the gunfire and looked at the pistol in her hands. There was terror in his eyes and he quickly said, "Girl, don't fire. I didn't see clearly just then, I thought it was something else, so I fired. That was a misunderstanding, a complete misunderstanding. Think about it, how would I know there was people here this late at night?" Tang Beiwei frowned. Did he really not see it? Seeing Tang Beiwei frown and her gun was slanting down, Dongfang she felt relieved and quickly said, "It really is a misunderstanding. I'm lost and have been going around the mountain in circles. May I ask how to get out of here?" Tang Beiwei looked at Dongfang she's eyes. It was calm and he didn't seem to be lying. However, who would be out here this late at night? This was quite strange. Tang Beiwei suddenly remembered this road lead to that canyon. Was it someone her brother missed? She subconsciously looked at Dongfang she's eyes again. It was too calm. This wasn't right, she learned acting before. Although it was very easy at that time, was he not scared of the gun when she was pointing it at him? His eyes should be scared a little, right? However, she didn't see it at all. She then looked at Dongfang she's hands. They seemed to be moving slowly as though trying to support himself up, but Tang Beiwei already had the preconceived opinion that he escaped from her brother. She walked a few steps in and pointed the gun at Dongfang she's hand and fired. It was this close that Tang Beiwei didn't miss hitting Dongfang she right in the arm. Crank! A knife fell to the ground. Tang Beiwei immediately knew she was right. This guy was bad and almost killed her. Dongfang she's face immediately became pale. He didn't think Tang Beiwei would fire again. The knife in his hand fell. He originally wanted to stab her when she came to help him up, but now, he felt worried. This girl was really fierce. He didn't know that since Tang Beiwei was so pretty, she acted very fierce to stop people advancing on her. "Don't shoot, I was telling the truth." Although Dongfang she was still trying to trick Tang Beiwei, but his eyes weren't as calm as before. "Okay, I won't fire," Tang Beiwei said and took a few steps forward. Dongfang she felt relieved but stared deadly at Tang Beiwei. As soon as she came near, he would take the gun from her. However, when Tang Beiwei was about 2 meters from him, she stopped and fired again at Dongfang she's knee. "Ard, you stupid B***tch. Dongfang she didn't expect Tang Beiwei, who was so kind just then, to be so nasty. Tang Beiwei ignored him and fired again at his leg, thinking that this pistol was really easy to use. However, she pulled the trigger many times and there was no reaction. She immediately understood she was out of bullets. She put the gun in her pocket and took out a fireball charm but took a few steps back. B***tch, you are so sinister. Dongfang she saw there was no more bullets and finally felt relieved, but he was still thinking about how to kill Tang Beiwei. B***tch, you are so sinister. Dongfang she saw there was no more bullets and finally felt relieved, but he was still thinking about how to kill Tang Beiwei. Tang Beiwei picked up another rock and smashed it towards Dongfang she's other leg. "You bad thing, you think I don't know who you are? You are with Wei Yongqian, and you broke my necklace, I'll smash you." Dongfang she wanted to avoid the stone, but he was so close to Tang Beiwei and he was heavily injured now so he couldn't dodge it at all. The stone hit his leg, making him sweat with pain. "You stinking B***tch, just wait till when I tell you who you are to Yemo, you will be happier, ha ha ha." Dongfang she's face looked hideous and sinister due to laughter and extreme pain. He knew it was very hard to run away today. Insolent woman, how could she compare him to a trash like Wei Yongqian? Dongfang she cruelly said. "You filthy wretch, hitting me so cruelly. I've been a hero for all my life, but am I to die in a woman's hand? In that case, I might as well die in Yemo's hands. Tang Beiwei picked up a rock again and looked at Dong Fangshi with alert. The reason she hadn't killed this person was because she wanted to ask from him how was Yemo now. Seeing Dong Fangshi's wretched cursing, she raised the rock in her hand. Tell me what happened to Yemo? Ha ha! Dong Fangshi laughed hysterically. You filthy SL*T, you're so evil that you won't even let your own brother go. Do you know who Yemo is? He's your brother. Are you very happy now you seduced your brother? Ha ha ha! It's satisfying even if I die, ha ha! Dong Fangshi's laugh suddenly stopped. Tang Beiwei looked at him in pity, but there was no despair and desolation in her eyes. There was only irony and contempt. Tang Beiwei originally couldn't bear beating him up like this, but after hearing his words, she knew how easy she went on him. She should have been harder. This wasn't a person anymore, it was an animal. You don't believe me? Dong Fangshi saw there was nothing on Tang Beiwei's face. He even forgot his pain as a bad feeling came over him. Tang Beiwei looked at him in pity. You want to say I went in bed with my brother and you're happy? Unfortunately, you will be disappointed. My brother knew I was his sister as soon as he saw me. You scum, I really don't know what your parents are like, creating such an anomaly. Dong Fangshi was so angry that he actually spat out blood. Before he said anything, Tang Beiwei smashed the stone on his head. Before Dong Fangshi lost his consciousness, he heard, Idiot, if it wasn't because you let me find my brother, I will burn you to dust immediately. Seeing Dong Fangshi was knocked out, Tang Beiwei finally felt relieved. This guy was too evil. So he was the one who thought of this evil plan. She originally thought it was a coincidence that she met with her brother, but it was actually this animal's idea. Luckily, her brother recognized her, otherwise, Tang Beiwei shivered. She didn't dare to keep thinking. It was the first time she was so cruel to someone, but she didn't feel bad at all. Yemo burned Songhai to dust with a fireball as well as the other bodies. Then, he looked at the end of the canyon. According to Songhai, there should be a metal chain bridge. Dong Fangshi's plan was to trick him in and let him fight with the hidden sect people. Song Qiming Dong Fangshi. Yemo muttered these two names. There was full of killing intent in his eyes. Since they wanted to ambush him, then don't blame him for total annihilation. If Yemo was still stage 2, he would still have some concerns, but now, he didn't need to at all. However, Dong Fangshi would have never thought that even if he changed the person, he still wouldn't be able to ambush Yemo. As long as Yemo walked into this canyon, his spirit sense would be able to scan what was on the two sides of the canyon. Dong Fangshi underestimated him too much. Whatever sinister plan it was worthless in the wake of absolute power. Yemo once again felt that he should increase his power. Improve his power? Yemo looked at the end of the canyon. Since there was an auction, should he go in and see? Who knows if there will be something he needs in the hidden sect auction. Last time, he just went to a social night and got a space abyss rock. This auction would definitely be more fruitful. But how was he going to enter? According to Songhai, the guards were 2 halfway Earth level masters. Then, wouldn't there be people stronger than Earth level there? This wasn't it. Since he was going to buy, he needed money, but he only had tens of thousands left. This wasn't enough for anything. Regardless, he needed to go. Ever since he found the 1,000-year snow lotus seed and face-preserving fruit, he no longer underestimated Earth. Perhaps there was really things he needed. Worst comes to worst, he would go back and make some artifacts and a few face-preserving pills. Today's slaughter was satisfying, but Dong Fangshi ran away. Yemo was very uncomfortable. Dong Fangshi was like a venomous snake. If Dong Fangshi knew Tang Beiwei was his sister and still let her seduce him, then he was too malevolent. He would go back and take away Tang Beiwei first. Yemo didn't choose to go into the canyon. He just walked a few steps and his phone started vibrating. It was Tang Beiwei. Yemo quickly picked up. Brother, I caught Dong Fangshi. I'm not far from the exit of the road. what do I do? Tang Beiwei's voice sounded. What? She actually caught Dongfang 11, Emo yelled out in joy. Don't go, stay there and wait for me. This Dongfang, she is very useful to me. Hearing this, Tang Beiwei felt as though she ate honey. She could finally help her brother. When Emo arrived, Dongfang she just woke up. He saw Emo come over and his eyes were faint. He knew he was a goner. Brother! Tang Beiwei looked at Dongfang she nervously. She was scared that with the slightest carelessness, this guy would run away, and because of that, she kept all her attention to him. Emo walked over, took another mini pistol from Dongfang she's leg, and then said, Beiwei, why did you come here? He still has a gun. I was almost tricked by him. Tang Beiwei looked in shock while Emo took another gun. She also gave the pistol in her pocket to Emo. This guy is very cunning. Luckily, you weren't tricked by him. Emo then looked at the necklace on Tang Beiwei's chest, which seemed faint. He frowned and said, He attacked you? Tang Beiwei nodded and told everything that had happened from the hotel till now. Emo then turned to look at Dongfang she with even colder eyes. This guy was like a snake. Luckily, he fell in his hands today, otherwise he really wouldn't be able to sleep. Mr. Yi, as long as you let me go, I'm willing to be your servant. You also know that I only tried to fight because we were on different sides. As long as I serve you, I will live by your words. Dongfang she was completely full of despair after Emo took away his gun. Before Emo spoke, Tang Beiwei quickly said, Brother, don't trust him. He's purely evil. He opened fire on me as soon as he saw me, and he knew we were siblings but still used such an evil plan. Emo's eyes grew bleaker. His guess was right. This Dongfang she really knew Tang Beiwei was his sister. This man was scary like a snake. Emo walked over and kicked Dongfang she's other hand broken. Then, he said to Dongfang she, I will make you die slowly. I'm not interested in having a wild dog that lost its humanity to serve me. Dongfang she's eyes hardened and immediately said, Emo, if you have guts, then give me a quick one. I know a lot of things. If you give me a quick one, I will tell you everything. Emo raised his hand and patted on Dongfang she's head. He then pointed at the center of his eyebrows and coldly said, No need, I have ways to make you talk. Dongfang she struggled a little but soon turned doll-like. Emo looked at him and asked, Tell me, why are you ambushing me? How many of North Sand's base do you know? Where are they? What other purpose do you have this time? Dongfang she numbly spoke. I only know the Asian base. It's in Vietnam, Whitetail Grove. I don't know anything else. This time, I came to get back the Space Sunflower Design Map. Space Sunflower Design Map? Emo immediately remembered the model Wendong gave him. Thinking about Wendong, he wondered if she had recovered. He wanted to get the map, and now he learned that North Sand hid very deep. Even Dongfang she didn't know a lot of things. It seemed they were just using each other, but Emo didn't care. He only needed Dongfang she to know the location and he would kill them all. Emo continued asking, How did you know I was siblings with Tang Beiwei? You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.